Chapter 3451 Blood Axe Snake Clan. One of the three great clans in God Devil City, and also one of the three great helpers of the God Devil Token's owner. At this moment, in the Patriarch's study. This person was the Patriarch of Blood Axe Snake Clan, Shifeng. He was also the father of the girl that Ling Xiao kidnapped. Even sitting there, the Patriarch of Blood Axe Snake Clan could still release a terrifying aura. No one would dare to approach within 100 feet of him. At this moment, the door was pushed open. A young man walked in with a somewhat flustered expression. Xiaozong, what happened? Why are you so flustered? Xiaozong Shi, the young Patriarch of Blood Axe Snake Clan, had the most arrogant strength among the younger generation. My sister was kidnapped. Xiaozong, she looked at his father carefully and finally said it. He knew that his father doted on that girl the most. And because of this, that girl was spoiled to the point of being a little unsightly. What? Without any movement from Shifeng, the chair under him directly shattered into pieces. But his body was still sitting there steadily, as if there was another chair in the air. Xiaozong, she hurriedly knelt down, like a small boat in the middle of a monstrous wave, his face full of fear. He was a martial artist at the second level of the reincarnation divine realm, but in front of his father, he was not worth mentioning. At this moment, he once again felt the inferiority of an ant. Speak, what happened? Shifeng was obviously suppressing the anger in his heart. His daughter, even he had not beaten up, but now someone dared to kidnap her. Sister was shopping in the city, but she did not expect to encounter someone deliberately looking for trouble. He actually killed many of our people, and even a martial artist at the first level of the reincarnation divine realm was not his match. Red Spot was also killed. Later on, Sister was held hostage by that person, and the experts of the clan went to ask for her, but they did not expect that person to be so arrogant and domineering. He actually crippled Sister's cultivation. Xiaozong, she's words were all good, as if the other person was deliberately looking for trouble, and the people of Blood Axe Snake Clan were all white lotus flowers. Shifeng naturally knew that there were many lies in Xiaozong Shi's words, but he did not care. Daring to kidnap his daughter, he had to die. Bring people to find him personally. Even if you have to search the entire God Devil City, you have to dig this person out for me. Don't kill him yet. Agree to whatever he wants. Once your sister is released, kill her immediately. Your son obeys. Xiaozong nodded. Also, be careful when you're in the city. Don't provoke the city, Lord's men. Shifeng added. I know. Xiaozong cupped his hands and left. When he reached the door, a cold light flashed in his eyes. In the divine Devil City, other than the city lord, no one dared to offend the Blood Axe Serpent Clan. He really didn't expect a trash from the western regions to be the descendant of a prisoner. He actually dared to lay his hands on his sister. That night was silent. The second day was the official start of the Fiend God Invitational Tournament. Ling Xiao and the others arrived at the central square early. Because the four great forces were hostile towards each other, they didn't stay together. Instead, each of them stood in their respective positions, waiting for the arrival of the Fiend God Token's owner. However, what they were waiting for was not the master of the Fiend God Token, but a group of fiendish powerhouses. In the sky, demonic beasts flew, blocking out the morning sun. On the ground, there was a dense mass of nearly 10,000 people, and there were many powerhouses among them. The terrifying pressure made the warriors of the four great forces of the western regions tremble in fear. They came to the unfamiliar divine Devil City and finally felt the sorrow and fear of being the weak. No one dared to make a sound. They all looked at these people quietly, wanting to know what they were going to do. What's going to come is still coming. Ling Xiao frowned. Although he had already thought of this possibility the day before, he had never thought of it. He still didn't expect the Blood Axe Serpent Clan to not take his word seriously. In that case, it seemed that he could only kill the hostages. Have any of you seen this person before? The leader of the group took out a portrait. It was Ling Xiao in the portrait, although there was a big difference between the portrait and the real person. Anyone who was familiar with Ling Xiao could tell. "You guys stay away from me." Ling Xiao lowered his voice and said to Warrior Soul and Warrior Soul, "That won't do. Since the enemy has come to us, even if we're not strong enough to defeat the reincarnation divine realm martial artist, we'll still be able to defeat him. But there are also many ninth-level life seizers and heaven-seizing, fate-changing realm martial artists. Killing one is enough. Killing two is enough. You want us to escape? We can't." Warrior Soul said, "That's right. Brother Ling, don't try to persuade us. We're all together. Even if we escape, they'll find us. Let's think about how to fight together." Warrior Soul said. For the first time, Ling Xiao felt a sense of belonging to the Soul Hall. It wasn't just because of Dark Frost, but also because he had other friends in the Soul Hall that he could fight for. "Thank you." Ling Xiao didn't say anything else. He quietly waited for the storm to come. He didn't have a good relationship with the other three forces. Therefore, if anyone recognized the person in the portrait, they would immediately betray him. There was no use in running. He could only fight. "I don't know him." The Linglong Saintess was the first to speak. She was a proud woman who thought she was infallible, but she also hated people from the God Devil City, and she hated people from the West region even more. Therefore, she didn't want to betray Ling Xiao. This surprised Ling Xiao a little. His impression of this proud woman improved a lot. Although there had been a war of words, there was no big grudge in the end. He had killed martial artists from the Linglong Palace before, but they were all small fries and no one cared. Besides, the Linglong Palace had troubled him before, so they were even. "Linglong Saintess, why are you helping that trash? It's really puzzling." At this time the Emperor stood up and said to the people in the sky, "Everyone, I've seen this person before." "Oh, who is he? Where is he?" the expert of the Blood Axe Snake clan asked. "His name is Ling Xiao. He was originally a nobody in the West region, but I don't know how he got lucky. He was favored by the Soul Hall Master, Dark Frost. Now he's very arrogant and doesn't take anyone seriously," the Emperor said loudly. As he spoke, he looked at Ling Xiao sarcastically. Although he didn't know what exactly had happened, he could roughly guess it by looking at the way things were going. Anyway, these people must be here to trouble Ling Xiao. He didn't mind letting others kill Ling Xiao. It would save him a lot of trouble. Haha, no wonder the people in the God Devil City said that the West region is a group of ants who only know how to fight among themselves. It seems like it's true. Prince Tian, Ling Xiao, will remember what happened today. We're not done. Ling Xiao didn't waste any more time and walked out of the crowd. Anyway, he had been exposed. If he didn't say anything, he would be a bastard. Seeing Ling Xiao walking out of the crowd, the people of the Blood Axe Snake clan compared the portrait in their hands. It was 70 to 80% similar. Chapter 3452. With Prince Tian's identification, coupled with the similarity of the portrait, the Blood Axe Snake clan's martial artists believed that there should be no mistake. For a moment, the Blood Axe Snake clan's martial artists gathered one after another, while the surrounding people avoided them, as if they were afraid of being implicated. That kid is a bit too arrogant. He even dares to provoke the Blood Axe Snake clan. Does he really think that with Dark Frost protection he can be lawless? Tyranny Tianhai sneered in his heart. Back then, it was Ling Xiao who completely destroyed his confidence and his domineering aura. That battle had become the greatest stain in his life. He wished that Ling Xiao could die 1,000 times. At this moment, he was naturally gloating. In the myriad countries and Heavenly Emperor dynasty, there were also many martial artists gloating. Almost everyone knew that Ling Xiao had provoked a powerful character. Next, there would definitely be trouble. Maybe he wouldn't even be able to participate in the God-Devil Invitational. Ling Xiao raised his head to look at the expert standing in the void and smiled coldly. "I said if you dare to attack me, I will kill your young Mississippi. Are you planning to let her die?" You dare to kidnap our Blood Axe Snake clan's young miss. You are indeed very courageous. Our patriarch admires your courage, so he let us make a deal with you. If you let our young miss go, we can let you live." In the void, a person spoke loudly. "Then should I be grateful?" Ling Xiao mocked. "You don't seem to understand the situation. Your young miss is in my hands now. You'd better do whatever I tell you to do, unless you don't want that young miss to live." Heavens, that kid is really bold. Facing the Blood Axe Snake clan's martial artists, he didn't even blink. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, the faces of all the martial artists from the western region turned ugly. They were worried that Ling Xiao had offended the Blood Axe Snake clan, which would eventually lead to the killing of all the martial artists in the western region. That was not worth it. "Ling Xiao, you'd better be careful with your words. Don't implicate others," the Koi King said loudly. What? The Koi King, one of the 4 kings of Tado Land, was actually afraid? What a joke. "What can you do about what I want to do?" Ling Xiao looked disdainfully at the Koi King before looking up at the experts of the Blood Axe Snake clan. "If you want your young miss to return, you have to show me your sincerity. Only we can talk about the conditions." "What do you mean?" the expert from the Blood Axe Serpent clan asked. "Kill that person and I'll talk to you." Ling Xiao pointed at Prince Tian. He said coldly. In that instant, Prince Tian's face turned pale. He knew that his life was nothing in the eyes of the Blood Axe Snake clan's martial artists. For the sake of that young lady, the Blood Axe Serpent clan's people might really attack him. "Fellow experts, don't listen to that brat's nonsense. He's just toying with all of you," Prince Tian hurriedly shouted. The Blood Axe Serpent race's expert looked at Ling Xiao and said, "Killing a piece of trash is no problem at all, but you have to let our young miss go first. You have to understand that this is not a condition. It's just a way for you to show your sincerity. If you don't even dare to kill a piece of trash that has nothing to do with you, then what's the point of talking?" Ling Xiao said disdainfully. The Blood Axe Serpent race's experts looked at each other and felt that this brat was difficult to deal with. Although killing a Prince Tian was really nothing much. Prince Tian was a seeded contestant of the God-Devil Invitational Tournament, which involved the excavation of the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum's inheritance. If they killed him, they would offend the owner of the God-Devil token, and they would have to suffer. If he wasn't careful, he might be killed. But if they did not listen to Ling Xiao, with Ling Xiao's temper, he would definitely not let their young miss go. They could not disobey the orders of the Blood Axe Serpent race's patriarch. For a moment, they were once again in a dilemma. Moreover, the martial artists gathered here were not too strong. The strongest was only at the first level of the reincarnation divine realm. The reason why they did not attack was related to their strength. The Blood Axe Serpent race's experts were rushing over. When they arrived, everything would become clear. "Why don't we wait? We can't make a decision on this matter," the Blood Axe Serpent race's martialist said. "I don't mind." Ling Xiao said that he did not mind, but he had already started to plan his escape route. He definitely would not place his hopes of survival on the other party's kindness. This place was the center of the divine Devil City. It was relatively far from the 4 city gates. However, Ling Xiao was certain that a powerful array formation had been set up in the divine Devil City. The core of the array formation was here. As long as this array formation was broken, everything in the divine Devil City would stop working. When that happened, the prison doors would open due to the loss of energy. The demonic beasts and prisoners locked up inside would escape. The divine Devil City would definitely fall into chaos. Chaos was also the key to escape. "Master, I'm counting on you," Ling Xiao said to the Yuan Venerate that was residing in his body. "No problem." The Yuan Venerate knew very well that whether Ling Xiao could escape or not was related to whether he could take revenge in the future. Naturally, he had to do his best. Ling Xiao became calmer as he thought of a way to escape. At this moment, the powerhouse of the Blood Axe Snake clan standing in the void suddenly shouted, "You lied to us just now, didn't you?" Ling Xiao looked up and found that those people were looking at the Linglong Saintess. The Linglong Saintess did not look too good. Offending the Blood Axe Snake clan was definitely a big problem for her. If she did not solve it well, she was afraid that she would be beheaded. "How can you say that I lied to him? He doesn't know me." Ling Xiao said disdainfully, "Why are you guys like dogs? You bite whoever you see? Do you really think that the people of the Western region are weak?" The Linglong Saintess was obviously a little surprised when she heard Ling Xiao's words. Regardless of whether Ling Xiao's words could help her or not, she appreciated his kind intentions. She had been a little disrespectful to Ling Xiao previously, and now she felt a little regretful. In her opinion, although Ling Xiao was not well known, he was much better than some good-for-nothings who only knew how to fight among themselves. "Dark Frost Girl, do it. These people are waiting for reinforcements. I'm afraid that the negotiation later will not be successful. Do it first and buy time for my master to break the array of the Divine Devil City." Ling Xiao was worried that there were also array masters in the Blood Axe Snake clan. It would be bad if they saw through his plan, so he planned to lead the enemies away first. He wanted his master to break the formation here in a down-to-earth manner. "Understood." Dark Frost nodded. Then she suddenly attacked. Countless sharp spikes appeared in the void. She directly assassinated more than a dozen first-level rebirth realm warriors. The most terrifying thing about the soul secret technique was that it was hidden, because the body did not need to move. The enemy could not judge whether you were performing the technique or not. No one expected that Dark Frost would suddenly attack. For a moment, both the Blood Axe Snake clan and the warriors of the Western region were a little stunned. However, just as they were stunned, Ling Xiao had already attacked. Chapter 3453. As soon as the fight began, Ling Xiao had no intention of holding back. As the terrifying, undying bird fire spread through the crowd, miserable screams rang out. "So what if you're from the Blood Axe Hydras? That bitch wanted to kill me, so I crippled her cultivation base. Since you want me dead, I'll kill you all." As he spoke, he unleashed more black poison mist. The combination of fire and poison was like a disaster. Although the Blood Axe Hydras had quite a few experts, most of them were only in the heaven-seizing or life-seizing level. Countless people were killed or injured by this sudden attack. Furthermore, the damage was continuous and could spread. In some ways, it was even more terrifying than Dark Frost's attack. This guy is a killing machine. When the Western Domain martial artists saw Ling Xiao's attack, their expressions turned unsightly. Ling Xiao's attacks weren't necessarily powerful, but they were difficult to defend against. Furthermore, they covered a large area. Only someone strong could defend against them. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to defend against. Even people stronger than Ling Xiao would have to expend a lot of true energy to defend against the fire and poison. In the end, their fighting prowess would be greatly reduced. At the same time, the Battle Souls joined the fight. Although they weren't as strong as Ling Xiao and Dark Frost, they were still far stronger. Ling Xiao's Deviant Flame and Poison Mist had greatly weakened their enemies. All they had to do was take the heads. In any case, Ling Xiao's Poison Mist and Deviant Flame could be controlled, so they wouldn't harm their own people. Now, they could be at ease and do what they wanted to do. Bloodthirsty Plague. Ling Xiao's attack wasn't over yet. After the Undying Bird Fire and Death Kingdom Poison, he unleashed the even more terrifying Bloodthirsty Plague. The Bloodthirsty Plague was all-pervasive. It was especially useful for enemies who were injured. The wails grew louder and louder, causing all the Western region martial artists to be dumbstruck. Lunatics. Absolute lunatics. The God Devil Invitational hasn't even begun, and they're already fighting the Blood Axe Hydras. The Hall of Souls is crazy. Ling Xiao is even crazier. Many Western region martial artists turned pale with fright, afraid that they would be implicated. To most of the Western region martial artists, this was simply a nightmare. In the sky and on the ground. The Blood Axe Serpent Clan's martial artists obviously didn't expect that Ling Xiao and the others would take the initiative to attack. What gave them the biggest headache was that these people were terrifyingly strong, especially the little girl who looked like she was only 13 or 14 years old. Virtually one attack could annihilate several reincarnation, divine, realm martial artists. Even in the Blood Axe Serpent clan, he was definitely considered a powerhouse. Coupled with Ling Xiao's strange, large-scale attack, they were in a complete mess. Last, don't hold back. These people are waiting for reinforcements. Once reinforcements arrive, it will be troublesome. Ling Xiao roared as he fought. Dark Frost nodded and released her soul-devouring domain. All of the Blood Axe Snake clan's martial artists in the domain suffered a soul attack. Although there were no wounds on the surface, their souls had been destroyed. One by one, they fell to the ground and became lifeless corpses. Ling Xiao's large-scale attack was still ongoing. Purple lightning, thunder, bull beast soul, earthquake. Cerberus beast soul, scorching hell. Frost dragon beast soul, icy dragon breath. Not only could his attack kill a large number of enemies, but it also created an excellent fighting environment for Dark Frost, the warrior soul, and the battle soul. In an instant, the Blood Axe Serpent clan's martial artists were killed to the point that they couldn't fight back. I think the Blood Axe Serpent clan's reputation is undeserved. They are actually suppressed by Ling Xiao and the others. They are all trash. Prince Tian seemed to have forgotten how fearful he was of the Blood Axe Serpent clan. Now he was acting cool again. Shut up. These people are just the middle level of the Blood Axe Serpent clan. The real powerhouses are rushing here. King Zhong shouted sternly and then looked into the distance. There was a powerful aura coming from the horizon that made people tremble in fear. Master, how is it? Ling Xiao, who also felt the urgency of the matter, asked hurriedly. Wait a little longer. Soon. The array formation of Divine Devil City was harder to break than expected. However, the Yuan Venerate had already done his best. Based on his ability, the array formation would be broken in a little more than 10 minutes. Got it. Ling Xiao looked into the distance. That was the elite force of the Blood Axe Serpent clan. Most of the martialists there had already been dealt with. The next step was crucial. No matter what, they had to persevere until the Yuan Venerate broke the array formation. Finally, the second-level reincarnation, divine, boundary, martialists arrived. However, perhaps due to the lack of time, only 2 came. Girl, you deal with one. The warrior soul, and I will deal with the other one. Ling Xiao definitely wasn't a match for a second-level reincarnation, divine, boundary, martialist alone. However, if the 3 of them worked together, he would have a way to kill the second-level reincarnation, divine, boundary, martialist. How dare you kill a member of the Blood Axe Serpent clan? Amidst the furious roar, a reincarnation divine realm martial artist took the lead to charge out, charging towards Ling Xiao. His speed was so fast that he was clearly separated from the rest of the people behind him. Perhaps he was confident enough in himself. Thus, he didn't even think that he would be killed. He had rushed out very quickly, but he had also died very quickly. Dark Frost didn't even move. She only glared at him coldly. A ghostly claw extended from the void and suddenly grabbed the martialist's heart. The second-level reincarnation divine boundary martialist didn't even have time to figure out what had happened. He died tragically on the spot. This scene made many martialists in the western region turn cold. Dark Frost is obviously stronger than before. She was only a first-level reincarnation, divine, boundary martialist. How did she improve so quickly? The Dragon Mother's expression was the worst. She had originally been the strongest person in the western region. However, Dark Frost's cultivation was now on par with hers. The most depressing thing was that, like her, Dark Frost was also a successor of the ancient emperor. At this moment, another second-level reincarnation divine boundary martialist had already charged over. Seeing that his companion was killed in one blow, he hesitated. At this moment, Ling Xiao released the Arctic realm. At the same time, he threw out the bloodthirsty plague, Death Kingdom black poison, and golden silkworm venom. Then he disappeared in the air. The warrior soul and the war soul pounced on the man and launched their most powerful attacks. A mere heaven-seizing, fate-changing realm, martialist, actually dares to come and die. Although the second-level reincarnation divine boundary martialist was weakened in various ways, his cultivation realm was still at the same level. However, with his cultivation level, how could he be afraid of fighting souls and fighting souls? In his eyes, these two people were simply here to die. However, he didn't know that the attacks of the warrior soul and battle soul were just a cover. Just as he was about to unleash a powerful attack to kill these two ignorant challengers, a voice suddenly rang out. A chill ran down his spine. That feeling was like being stared at by a poisonous snake. He was shocked and hurriedly turned back to look. He saw a ball of bright flames. Chapter 3454. Immortal Fire of the Phoenix. Immortal fire was more powerful than strange fire. It was more difficult to control it. However, as a doctor, Ling Xiao could still use immortal fire at close range. The premise was that the opponent couldn't avoid it. That was why he had to attract the attention of the warrior with his soul power and fighting soul. Although his immortal fire was powerful, it was too clumsy and could be easily avoided. At this moment, it was so close. It was impossible for the opponent to avoid it. He released the immortal fire and hit the LV2 reincarnation divine state warrior. Ah! The man screamed and ran away crazily. The reincarnation divine state warrior was really terrifying. After being hit by the immortal fire, half of his body was cut off immediately. He was still alive. Generally speaking, the reincarnation divine state warrior wouldn't die immediately as long as his head and heart were intact. In the past, Ling Xiao was still skeptical, but today he believed it completely. "I'll kill you," the man roared like a ferocious beast. "Fight!" Ling Xiao wanted to avoid it, but it was too late. He could only fight it head-on. Although the opponent was a LV2 reincarnation divine state warrior, he was seriously injured. He didn't believe he couldn't kill him. The 5 swords rose up again. He started to condense the most powerful sword move. However, at this moment, a petal suddenly pierced through the space between the eyebrows of the LV2 reincarnation divine state warrior. The man was very close to Ling Xiao, but he couldn't attack anymore. He fell to the ground heavily and was burned to ashes by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao turned around. The Linglong Saintess looked at him calmly. Although others might not see it, Ling Xiao's Tai Chi eye caught it. At that moment, it was the Linglong Saintess of the Linglong Palace who attacked. "Thank you." He secretly transmitted his voice to her. The Linglong Saintess didn't respond. She was still very arrogant. Ling Xiao smiled and didn't say anything. There was such a proud woman in the world. At least she was much better than some unruly women. Oh no! The soul warrior suddenly came to Ling Xiao's side, and his face turned pale. The ones who came this time are actually all reincarnation deity, realm martial artists. Even the weakest is at the first level of the reincarnation divine realm. The battle soul also flew over and stood side by side with Ling Xiao, but their expressions were not good. Ling Xiao had already discovered that the ones who had come this time were the true elites of the Blood Axe Snake clan. The weakest martial artist was at the first level of the reincarnation divine realm. There were also many second-level reincarnation divine realm martial artists. There were even a few third-level reincarnation divine realm martial artists. The aura of the strongest person was even more terrifying. He was definitely a martial artist above the 4th level of the reincarnation divine realm. However, this person was not very old, only in his 20s. Needless to say, the elites of the Blood Axe Snake clan had entered and left. This time, the Blood Axe Snake clan had suffered heavy losses. Naturally, they would not let Ling Xiao go. That 20-year-old youth was naturally the Blood Axe Serpent clan's young master, Shi Xiaozong. And the young girl that Ling Xiao was holding hostage was precisely his younger sister. Good, really very good. My Blood Axe Snake clan has stood tall in Divine Devil City for thousands of years. No one has ever dared to kill my compatriots like this. Are you already prepared to die? Shi Shaozong looked at Ling Xiao coldly, his voice revealing a strong killing intent. Most likely, today's matter absolutely could not be settled peacefully. When the Western region martial artists saw this scene, they were all trembling with fear and trepidation. The Blood Axe Snake clan was well deserving of being the Blood Axe Snake clan. A third-level reincarnation divine realm martial artist was actually not the strongest in the Blood Axe Snake clan. Just a young patriarch had the combat strength of fourth-level reincarnation, divine, realm cultivation, and above. Then how terrifying would their patriarch be? How terrifying was the strength of Divine Devil City's city lord. Hand over my sister, and I can give you all a quick death. Otherwise, I'll let you all taste all kinds of punishments from my Blood Axe Snake clan, making you wish you were dead. Can't die even if you want. What Shi Shaozong was most concerned about was still his own sister, but the words that he said were just deceit. How could he let Ling Xiao go? After Ling Xiao handed over his sister, he would capture these people and go back to teach them a lesson. Here. Ling Xiao casually threw it. A person flew over. Shi Shaozong hurriedly caught it, only to find that the sister he was looking for had long become a corpse. An ice-cold corpse. You killed my sister. Shi Shaozong's tone was even colder. Nonsense. I warned you not to attack me, but you clearly didn't take my word seriously. Your sister's death was caused by your Blood Axe Snake clan. Serves you right. Ling Xiao's voice was cold. In fact, the moment he knew that the hostage was useless, he was too lazy to keep that person alive. Damn it! Shi Shaozong gritted his teeth and looked fiercely at Ling Xiao and the rest. You no longer have the chance to choose. You must die, and you must suffer the most painful torture before dying. Laughable, we didn't have a choice in the first place. What are you thinking in your heart? Do you really think I don't know? I'll let your sister go, and then you'll teach me a lesson? In this world, no powerhouse will keep their promise to the weak, especially when there is a conflict of interest. Ling Xiao sneered. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? Good disciple, it's done. You can escape at any time. The Yuan Venerate had finally taken control of the array formation in Divine Devil City. Not only did I break the array formation, but I also added some materials. I believe that as long as you are willing, Divine Devil City will fall into chaos in an instant. When the time comes, no one will care where you go, as they will have more important things to do. Thank you, Master. Please take a rest first. Ling Xiao finally heaved a sigh of relief. The escape route was clear, so there was nothing to be afraid of. I implicated you all and will have to die with me. Ling Xiao glanced at the fighting souls and fighting souls. Actually, the fighting souls and fighting souls could have stayed out of this matter. However, they didn't. What kind of joke is this? We are all good brothers. Why are you saying such nonsense? Besides, our lives were saved by you. If it weren't for you, we would have been dogs for the rest of our lives. The fighting souls scolded jokingly. That's right. What's there to be afraid of? As a martialist, you should have already disregarded death. The fighting souls added, Today is the happiest day of my life. Even if I die, I will have no regrets. Don't worry, you won't die. Dark Frost stood in front of the three of them and released her aura confidently. She was the strongest among the four of them, so she couldn't lose hope. Otherwise, the other three would lose hope too. Ha ha ha. Little girl, you are right. We won't die. No one will die. He suddenly turned to Shi Shaozong and said, Come on, let's fight since you want to. However, after this battle, I can guarantee that the Blood Axe Snake tribe will never have a foothold in Divine Devil City again. Chapter 3455. Ling Xiao's words were not just empty words. He was indeed no match for the masters of the Blood Axe Snake clan, but it was very difficult for them to kill him. But he could use his various life-saving and sneak attacks to make the warriors of the Blood Axe Snake clan restless all day. If the Dark Frost was added to the mix, not many of the masters of the Blood Axe Snake clan could survive today. I've never seen such an arrogant warrior of the Western region. Well, since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Xiaozong, she released his terrifying aura, covering Ling Xiao and the other three. Xiaozong, we were invited to the mythical invitational. Do you want to ruin the plan of the mythical token's owner? Or do you think you can bear the responsibility if you kill them? Suddenly, the Linglong Saintess walked out of the crowd. She had thought for a long time before making such a decision. It was very difficult for her, but she couldn't just stand by and watch. Their ancestors had taught them that the warriors of the Western region must be united. Otherwise, it would be a disaster. If she didn't help Ling Xiao today, would Ling Xiao help her when she was in trouble in the future? The answer was obvious. She was gambling. Gambling on her own fate, and also gambling on Ling Xiao's character. Hearing the Linglong Saintess's words, Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment, but he immediately understood. The mythical token's owner wanted them to enter the ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum to find the inheritance of the ancient Sword Emperor. If they died, there would be flaws in the plan. It might even be a big problem. Even so, he shouldn't have killed my sister and over 10,000 people of the Blood Axe Snake clan. Xiaozong, she said coldly, what a joke. I just stood there and let your sister kill me. Is that enough? The Blood Axe Snake clan is indeed arrogant. You don't even understand this simple principle? Ling Xiao sneered. I don't know about your grudges and I don't want to know. But the mythical invitational is about to begin. Aren't you afraid that the mythical token's owner will be angry? The Linglong Saintess was using the mythical token's name. Actually, she didn't know how the owner of the Divine Devil Order would deal with this matter. However, in order to help Ling Xiao, she could only say so. Obviously, she had made the right bet. After hearing what the Linglong Saintess said, Xiaozong frowned, although he was still full of murderous intent. However, it was obvious that he had restrained himself a lot. Whether it was Dark Frost, Ling Xiao, Soulless, or Soulless, they were all here to participate in the God and Devil Invitational Tournament. He was invited by the owner of the Fiend God Order. It was related to a huge plan. If he really killed these people today, it would be very troublesome. I don't think Master will blame me for killing a person. Suddenly, a terrifying aura came from afar. A thunderous voice rang out. Father! Xiaozong could tell that the voice belonged to his father. Do as I say. Capture that guy called Ling Xiao. We can ignore the rest for now. The voice said again. Your son obeys. Xiaozong finally had a backbone. He looked at Ling Xiao and said, there are 37 people participating in the tournament. I don't think it's a big deal if you're not here. It's not a big deal if you're here. If we kill you, Master won't blame us either. I'll take it as revenge for my sister. As for the rest, I'll deal with them after the God and Devil Invitational Tournament. Xiaozong's figure trembled, and like a bolt of lightning, he charged towards Ling Xiao. If you want to kill him, you'll have to step over my dead body. Dark Frost snorted and used the soul-devouring wand. A terrifying aura swept across the sky. The terrifying soul secret technique collided with Xiaozong's attack. Boom! With a terrifying loud sound, Xiaozong was forced back dozens of steps. However, Dark Frost didn't move an inch. Inheritance of the ancient emperor. Xiaozong frowned. He was a martial artist at the 4th level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm. His opponent should be at the 3rd level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm. She shouldn't be his opponent. However, with the inheritance of the ancient emperor, she could firmly suppress him. His expression turned somewhat unsightly. I'll deal with this woman. You guys go and kill that Ling Xiao. At this moment, capturing Ling Xiao alive had become an extravagant hope. The only thing Xiaozong wanted to do was to kill Ling Xiao and end it all. He once again fought with Dark Frost. The terrifying collision between the two continued to reverberate in the sky. One just stood there motionlessly and used the soul secret technique. The other was like a shooting star flashing in the sky. Everyone was shocked. Boom, boom, boom. The space was distorted because of the collision between the two. The Blood Axe Snake race's martial artists wanted to get close to Ling Xiao. However, due to the energy that leaked out, they couldn't move an inch forward. A few rash fellows rushed over. Soon they were swallowed by the void and died on the spot. Ling Xiao looked at the battle in the sky and gritted his teeth coldly. He once again released his area of effect technique. Bloodthirsty plague, Death Kingdom black poison, earthquake, scorching hell. The large area of effect attack caused little damage to martial artists above LV, one of the reincarnation divine state realm. However, it wasn't impossible. Taking this opportunity, Ling Xiao killed his way into the crowd. He couldn't afford to offend martial artists above LV2 of the reincarnation divine state realm. However, he could kill martial artists below LV, one of the reincarnation divine state realm. Sigh. In the end, it still ended up like this. The Linglong Saintess sighed and flew into the sky, ready to help. Today's battle wasn't just a simple battle between Ling Xiao and the Blood Axe Snake race. It was also a rebellion of the Western region's martial artists against the Divine Devil City and the 4 major regions. Boom! Suddenly, just as the battle in the sky was in a mess, a terrifying aura descended. All the battles were forced to stop. That terrifying aura made people feel incomparable fear and tremble. The owner of the Divine Devil token, who was dressed in black and wearing a strange mask, finally appeared and sat in the middle of the rostrum. Have you had enough fun? Although his voice was soft and indifferent, it was filled with terrifying pressure. All the martial artists in the sky landed on the ground, trembling in fear in front of him. Shifeng, I know you love your daughter dearly, but your daughter is arrogant and domineering. I've already warned you. I've warned you, but you didn't know. You even instigated her to kill the innocent. You've finally met your match, haven't you? I won't comment on her death. In short, give me some face. Before my plan is completed, can you let go of your grudge? The voice of the owner of the Divine Devil token drifted into the distance. Shifeng, the leader of the Blood Axe Snake race, who didn't show up, hurried over. He knelt in front of the owner of the Divine Devil token and said, "Whatever you say, Master." That's the best. Let your people do what they should do. Don't forget your accusations. The owner of the Divine Devil token said lightly. Yes, subordinate obeys. In front of the owner of the Divine Devil token, even the powerful Shifeng didn't dare to say anything. His son, Shi Shaozong, didn't dare to do anything. After Shifeng left, the owner of the Divine Devil token looked at Ling Xiao. You're amazing. You dare to kill my people in the Divine Devil City. Are you really not afraid of me? Chapter 3456. Hearing the owner's words, Ling Xiao felt a chill in his heart. However, he was still neither servile nor overbearing. Senior, you are wrong. I don't want to cause trouble, but if someone provokes me, I will not be merciful. You have to look at the owner before beating a dog. Even if Shifeng's daughter provoked you and wanted to kill you, you just have to run for your life. Killing her is the same as slapping my face. The owner of the Fiend God token released a terrifying aura. The battle spirits and battle spirits had already knelt down. Dark Frost was also trembling. Only Ling Xiao, with his Sky Tyrant martial spirit supporting him, stood there with his head held high. He did not kneel down at all. Since you know it's a dog, you should look after it. Otherwise, don't blame me if it's beaten to death. Ling Xiao said tit for tat. The owner of the Fiend God token was stunned for a moment. In this world, there are really people like you who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Interesting. Do you know that if I want to kill you, I only need a finger to make you disappear from this world? I don't know. I don't think you have that kind of ability. Ling Xiao did not know the owner's true strength. However, his cultivation should be at the reincarnation divine realm, just higher. It would not be easy to kill him. He had even killed an expert from the Eternal Life Palace. What was a fiend god token owner to him? That guy is crazy, really crazy. How can he talk to the owner of the fiend god token like that? Does he really think that he is on equal footing with that kind of expert? Prince Tian was so scared that his face turned pale. That was the owner of the fiend god token, a monster who could destroy the entire western region in a fit of anger. What a reckless guy. I have to hand it to him. Where did he get the guts to do that? King Koi's face turned ashen. Ha ha ha. Interesting, very interesting. I hope you don't die in the Fiend God Invitational Tournament, because I will kill you with my own hands. However, it has to be after the tournament. The owner of the Fiend God token laughed out loud. No one could make him so angry. This young man did it. All right, enough with the nonsense. The 37 people who entered the world of the dead, come out. Come and get your armor of rules from me. The owner of the God Devil token did not look at Ling Xiao again. There is no need to fight with someone who is about to die. Regardless of whether Ling Xiao would survive the God and Devil Invitational Tournament, he had already decided to put this audacious guy to death. The God Fiend Invitational Tournament was more important. His plan was more important. What is the armor of laws? Ling Xiao asked Darkfrost. It's something that can activate the rules of the world of the dead. After wearing it, you can be teleported out when you're on the verge of death. Otherwise, the rules won't apply. Darkfrost explained. There's actually something like this. Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment, then laughed bitterly. It's over. I've offended the owner of the God Devil token. I'm afraid he won't give me the armor of rule. I don't think so. After all, he's an expert. He wouldn't be so narrow-minded. Darkfrost was stunned for a moment. However, Ling Xiao's words hit the nail on the head. I'm really sorry that the armor of rule is missing, little doll. It was unknown what expression the owner of the God Devil token had behind the mask, but there was a hint of ridicule in his words. The dignified owner of the God Devil token is so narrow-minded. What a joke. Forget it. It doesn't matter if I don't have the armor of rule. Ling Xiao sneered, looked at the owner of the God Devil token, and said, You just want those people to attack me. But I can tell you clearly that whoever attacks me, I'll kill them. Don't think that your armor of rule is omnipotent. Even if they're wearing the armor of rule, I can still kill them if I want to. The so-called rules, to put it bluntly, were actually larger and more mysterious formations. As long as it was a formation, Ling Xiao could break it and was not afraid. Brat, you're stubborn. If you want the armor of rule, that's fine. Kneel down and apologize. Maybe I can think of where to find extra armor of rule. The owner of the God Devil token laughed. No need. Ling Xiao turned around and returned to his position. Big brother Ling Xiao, why didn't I give you my armor of rule? Anyway, those people can't possibly be my match. There's not much meaning in me wanting this. Darkfrost said, You mustn't. Without the armor of rule, you'll become the target of public criticism. Moreover, the world of the dead not only has martial artists, but also those undead. It's very dangerous. If you get injured and don't have the armor of rule, it'll be very dangerous. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, And I reckon that the armor of rule can't be exchanged with each other. You're right. Once the armor of rule is given to others, the two people's armor of rule will lose its effect. The owner of the God Devil token sneered and said, Brat, your brain is pretty good. It's a pity that you're too arrogant. Otherwise, maybe you can become a pretty good dog under my account. Be your dog? I, Ling Xiao, have never thought of being anyone's dog in my entire life. I'd rather die, not be a dog. Ling Xiao said straightforwardly. Good, very good. I'd like to see how long a stubborn person like you can last. The owner of the God token looked at Ling Xiao. The more unruly a person was, the more he had the desire to destroy or make them submit. Only then would there be a sense of accomplishment. Otherwise, if the other party surrendered so easily, then it would be meaningless. At the same time, Many of the Western region's martial artists looked at Ling Xiao. Prince Tian was one of them. He really wanted to kill Ling Xiao. Because Ling Xiao was Long Chen's original boss, he couldn't be at ease as long as Ling Xiao was alive. Moreover, when he was in the green zone, he had suffered a hidden loss. Even now, he was still angry. The Koi King was also one of them. Back then, in the Ice Emperor's mausoleum, she was almost killed by Ling Xiao. If the Dragon Shark King hadn't arrived, she would have been a corpse now. Therefore, she absolutely couldn't let Ling Xiao go, no matter if it was for revenge or to defend her honor. Tianhai tyranny was also one of them. The hatred between him and Ling Xiao could be traced back to the White Tiger continent. In the Revenge Alliance, there were a few young talents who were unhappy with Ling Xiao. Their reason was the simplest. That was, Ling Xiao actually received the help and care of the Linglong Saintess. This made them go crazy with jealousy. The Linglong Saintess could only be a member of the Revenge Alliance. Even if she was to marry someone, she should marry someone from the Revenge Alliance. Now that Ling Xiao didn't have the rule armor, it was completely possible for him to die in the undead world, killing Ling Xiao and possibly obtaining the Ice Emperor's inheritance. How could they give up such a good thing? Feeling these people's gazes, Ling Xiao directly raised his middle finger. Don't blame me for not reminding you. I'll kill whoever comes to kill me. Arrogant. Too arrogant. But we have to be careful of him. After all, this guy knows that he will be killed by the God Token's owner. He might even play some tricks during the battle. He's the best at this. Everyone wanted to kill Ling Xiao, but they were also afraid of Ling Xiao's tricks. It was a contradiction. Chapter 3457. The world of the dead was similar to many other small worlds. The moment one entered the portal, they would be separated. There was no one beside Ling Xiao at this time. Only an endless aura of death lingered in the air. He wasn't in a hurry to find others to fight. Instead, he was very interested in this mysterious world of the dead. According to Dark Frost, the world of the dead was where the spirits of the immemorial tomb were sealed. But what kind of creature was the undead? Or were they not living creatures at all? Shaking his head, he couldn't figure it out. Since that was the case, he might as well move on. He would think about it after he met up with the three from the Hall of Souls. Dark Frost should be fine by herself, but the two of them would be in trouble if they ran into a rebirth realm cultivator. Therefore, he had to help them as soon as possible. They had formed a deep friendship in the previous battles, and Ling Xiao didn't want them to be eliminated so easily. Because of the Taiji Eye, Ling Xiao could choose to avoid people he didn't want to meet. If he couldn't avoid them, he would have to see their attitude. If they didn't know what was good for them and insisted on being enemies with him, he wouldn't mind making a move. It's the soul power. Before long, Ling Xiao sensed the soul power's aura. The soul power's aura was violent, and he should be in the middle of a battle. Through the Taiji Eye, he could see that the soul power was being attacked by two people. One of them was a life-seizing realm cultivator who was as strong as the soul power. The other was a 9th-level life-sizer. Although the soul power wouldn't be defeated for the time being, it was still difficult for him. There were so many people in the Vengeance Alliance that it was easy to form a pair. Ling Xiao didn't even think about it and rushed over. He didn't want to fight a battle that didn't benefit him at all. The two Vengeance Alliance cultivators were no threat to him at all, and they couldn't bring him any benefits. "Get lost," he said coldly, standing there and looking at the soul power coldly. The soul power was overjoyed when he saw Ling Xiao. If this battle went on, he would be eliminated sooner or later. Besides, the Vengeance Alliance had so many people to begin with. If 2 became 3, he would be in trouble. Ling Xiao's appearance was tantamount to giving him a backbone. The 2 Avenging Alliance cultivators glanced at each other, obviously somewhat afraid of Ling Xiao. They had all seen the battle between Ling Xiao and the Blood Axe Snake clan. The heaven-seizing, fate-changing realm martial artists were like a bunch of chickens in front of Ling Xiao, unable to resist at all. "Humph, what are you being so arrogant for? You don't even have a rule armor. We won't die, but you can't." Despite the fear in his heart, But as soon as they thought about how Ling Xiao didn't have the rule armor, the two Revenge Alliance martial artists immediately regained their courage. At most, he would be teleported out. If he could kill Ling Xiao, he would not only obtain glory, but also the inheritance of the Ice Emperor. I can't kill you. But as far as I know, the armor of rule can only send you out when you're on the verge of death. Since you want to fight, I'll let you have a taste of being cut into pieces. Ling Xiao hated doing things that he didn't want to do. If these two people scrammed, he could avoid a boring battle. But these two people not leaving, he was very unhappy. If he was unhappy, the consequences would be very serious. Finished talking, he suddenly made a move. Resplendent sword light bloomed in the pitch-black world of the dead. Among them, the mystic snake devil sect martial artist's arms were directly chopped off, and he screamed hysterically in pain. Remember, this is the lesson. Ling Xiao didn't even use any martial technique, purely ordinary attacks, and it made the mystic snake devil sect martial artist completely lose his combat strength. I'll scram. The other person should be someone from the 7-star Sword Palace. Seeing his companion's arms easily cut off, he rolled on the ground in pain. But he couldn't die, nor could he be teleported out. That torturous feeling made him tremble all over in fear. Scram? Don't you think it's a bit late now? Ling Xiao said sarcastically, I can't be bothered to make a move. You kill yourself, you can't die anyway. Looking at his companion on the ground, the 7-star Sword Palace martial artist gritted his teeth, then slit his own throat. Being teleported out and eliminated was better than enduring the torment. Holy crap, Brotherling, you're so brutal. You didn't even need to make a move, and that 9th stage life-sizer ended his own life. The Soul Warrior couldn't have been more excited. It was a good thing that Ling Xiao had a good relationship with the Soul Hall. Otherwise, the Soul Hall would have been treated the same way in the God Devil Invitational. Ling Xiao chuckled and looked over at the other person. That person had already lost too much blood and was on the verge of death. He was being tortured. Just before he was teleported out, he said viciously, I'll remember you, Ling Xiao. You've already offended the 10,000 kingdoms and the Celestial Dynasty, and now you dare to offend the League of Vengeance? You're dead. Idiot, Yang Qi said. I'm not even afraid of the Blood Axe Snake Clan. Why would I be afraid of the League of Vengeance? After witnessing the power of the Blood Axe Serpents and the master of the God Devil Medallion, Ling Xiao suddenly realized that the 4 major powers of the Western domain were insignificant. It really was a fight between 2 rookies. In the central square, a figure suddenly flew out of the screen. It landed on the ground. You were killed too, Snakeskin. The elders of the League of Vengeance asked. They didn't recognize the Black Snake sect martial artist. What do you mean I was killed too? That guy obviously killed himself. Snakeskin said, pointing at the 7-star Sword Palace disciple who had been eliminated. What happened? The crowd asked. That's right. I killed myself. Ling Xiao was too strong. I didn't even see what happened. Snakeskin lost both of his arms. I'm only in the 9th stage of life seizing. Snakeskin couldn't even last one exchange with him. How could I possibly be a match for him? The 7-star Sword Palace disciple knew that he couldn't hide the truth, so he decided to tell the truth. Snakeskin, is that what happened? The crowd asked. That's right. That guy was too cruel. He actually made me bleed, so much that I was sent out. Although Snakeskin was helpless, he could only admit it. Our League of Vengeance has already lost 5 people. 1 was eliminated by the Dragon Shark King, and 2 by Imperial Prince Tian. We're in trouble. The various sect leaders of the League of Vengeance had ugly expressions, but the League leader was very calm. The Linglong Saintess, Tian High Tyranny, and Feng Fei are enough. The others are just there to make up the numbers. The 10 people sent out by the owner of the Fiend God Order will take up 10 spots. Speaking of which, our 4 factions are only fighting for 8 spots. It's already good enough that we can keep 3. What's the rush? The League of Vengeance's League leader seemed to have seen through everything. The 10 people sent out by the owner of the Fiend God Order were all second-level rebirth, divine, realm martial artists. As long as there were no accidents, they wouldn't be eliminated. Their overall strength was much stronger than the Western region's martial artists. Hearing the League leader's words, the crowd felt a little better, but there was still a question in their hearts. That arrogant Ling Xiao, how strong was his battle prowess? Chapter 3458. Follow me closely. Don't bump into the 10 people sent by the owner of the God-Devil token. Those 10 guys are very troublesome. Ling Xiao saw the 10 warriors sent by the owner of the God-Devil token through the Tai Chi eye. At this moment, they were actually walking together in pairs. Each of them was at the second level of the reincarnation divine realm. If the two of them were together, even Dark Frost would find it difficult to kill them. It was even more impossible for Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao would not try such an impossible battle. What he was most concerned about now was the situation of War Soul and Dark Frost. I got it. War Soul was already full of admiration for Ling Xiao. Naturally, he would not object to Ling Xiao's words. Brother Ling, can you tell me something? Can you fight with the second level of the reincarnation divine realm martial artist with your strongest battle strength? On the way, he could not help but ask. More or less. But I can't win in a one-on-one battle. Ling Xiao was telling the truth. After all, the difference in cultivation realm was a little far, including the beast soul transformation, the Ice Emperor's inheritance, and the tyrant martial soul. He might be able to fight with a second level of the reincarnation divine realm martial artist, but he was definitely at a disadvantage. However, he was not afraid of a first level of the reincarnation divine realm martial artist now. One-on-one, he would definitely win. In the world of the dead, it was impossible to hide forever, because there were undead activities here. Once discovered, it might be a life and death battle, and the rule armor was useless. Therefore, the warriors had to keep moving to avoid those undead. Because of this, a total of 10 people had been eliminated in the first hour. 37 people became 27. Next, 9 more people would be eliminated, and it would be considered over. However, those who were left were all powerful people, and they were definitely not stupid. It would not be easy to kill him. Oh no, War Soul is in trouble. Suddenly, Ling Xiao saw that War Soul was in a precarious situation in the distance. He was being besieged by 2 people from the Heavenly Emperor dynasty. The troublesome thing was that these 2 people were still at the life-changing realm. They were stronger than the 2 people who dealt with War Soul. At this moment, the fighting soul was already covered in injuries. Ling Xiao knew that he didn't dare to be careless, so he hurriedly sped up and rushed over. The soul warrior followed closely behind, not daring to fall behind. Just you wait, Brother Ling, and the palace master will definitely avenge me. F***CK. In the end, he was still a step too late. The fighting soul was directly sent out. Ling Xiao heard the War Soul's unwilling roar, as well as the mocking words of the 2 Sky Emperor dynasty martial artists. Haha, what a joke. Let that Ling Xiao come. Since he's here, we'll just kill him. The inheritance of the Ice Emperor is ours. It was a woman who spoke. That's right. That Dark Frost is a little troublesome. But who does Ling Xiao think he is? Does he deserve to scare us? Ridiculous. The other person was a rather handsome man. The cooperation between this man and woman was indeed not bad. It seemed that they had undergone a lot of training. It was not an injustice for War Soul to lose to them. Why don't I find it funny at all? Suddenly, a cold voice came over. The man and woman from the Sky Emperor dynasty became nervous and looked in the direction of the voice. Ling Xiao and the Soul Warrior walked over together. Ling Xiao was really unwilling to fight a battle that was originally a waste of time. But the fighting soul was eliminated by these 2 people. No matter what, he had to avenge the fighting soul. I was wondering who it was. So it's you. This is really a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it without any effort. When the two people saw that it was Ling Xiao who appeared, they were immediately overjoyed. Obediently hand over the inheritance of the Ice Emperor on you. We can still spare your life. Don't forget, you don't have the rule armor on you. Once you die, you'll really die. The last person who said this has already been eliminated. Ling Xiao said indifferently, "Originally, I didn't want to eliminate you guys because everyone is a Western region martial artist, after all. But you guys eliminated the fighting soul, so I have to avenge this hatred. Do it. I'll give you a chance to attack first." Speaking of this, he looked back at the soul warrior and said, "Don't make a move, pay attention to the surrounding movements, and be careful of the undead creatures." Ha 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 ha. Everyone says that you're arrogant, and it's true. Anyway, Prince Tian said that he wants you dead. If we kill you today, it can be considered a great contribution to the Sky Emperor dynasty. In the future, we will definitely have a meteoric rise. The man suddenly laughed out loud, although he had seen Ling Xiao's battle in the central square before. But Ling Xiao's battle was all large-scale attacks. Most of those who were killed were actually killed by the sneak attacks of the Fighting Soul, and Dark Frost. They thought that Ling Xiao's support ability was only stronger. His actual combat strength was not very good. As long as they were on guard against Ling Xiao's poison and immortal fire, they didn't have to worry too much. It was also because this guy had not seen the scene of Ling Xiao killing a first-level reincarnation divine realm martial artist. Otherwise, he would definitely not be so confident. It's not good to talk too much nonsense. You guys come together. You're really not enough, Ling Xiao said indifferently, boasting shamelessly. Junior sister, you don't have to make a move. Watch how I, your senior brother, take care of this trash. Male martial artists would usually put in a lot of effort in front of the woman they liked. They wanted to prove that they were stronger than other male creatures. Perhaps this was the most primitive habit of human beings. Too much nonsense, go to hell. Ling Xiao had already lost his patience and directly made the first move, only to see his figure tremble, and he already arrived in front of the man. Then, pointing out a finger, the fingertip pierced through the man's throat. The man fell to the ground on the spot and was teleported out. If not for the armor of rule, the man would definitely be dead. They were both at the heaven-seizing, fate-changing realm. But in front of Ling Xiao, this man was simply like an idiot who did not know how to fight. Not even a move was made, and he was already defeated. Ling Xiao looked at the woman coldly and said, "It's your turn. You said that you would let us attack first. You went back on your word." The woman suddenly cried out, "I did say that, but if you don't attack, am I supposed to wait my whole life? You're really a spoiled baby. The carefree life in the Western region has made you, the descendants of the 9 Supremes, outrageous." Ling Xiao shook his head. "You'd better choose to commit suicide. In front of me, you don't have any chance." "That's not necessarily true. Although I'm not your match, my movement technique is definitely better than yours." As she said this, the woman suddenly trembled and appeared hundreds of meters away. That speed was really fast. "Is that it?" Ling Xiao shook his head and stepped out with the blizzard ice ceiling steps. The surrounding air suddenly turned icy cold. The woman, who had been speeding up to escape, instantly slowed down. Is this the Ice Emperor's legacy? The woman felt bitter. This Ling Xiao was too terrifying. Even if she joined forces with her senior brother, it was impossible for them to be Ling Xiao's match. It looked like Ling Xiao had not actually unleashed his strongest combat strength in the battle in the central square. Chapter 3459. The woman from the Heavenly Emperor dynasty was slowed down by the cold aura. While she was panicking in her heart, Ling Xiao had already arrived beside her and struck out with a palm. The woman was instantly beaten to the brink of death. Then she was teleported out. Although there's the rule armor, it's true that I'm injured here. Ling Xiao suddenly lost interest in the rule armor. After many people were seriously injured, even if they were teleported out, it would be difficult for them to escape death. because their injuries were simply too severe. Another one came out. There are still 7 eliminated spots left. In the central plaza, the moment the woman from the Heavenly Emperor dynasty appeared, she was still a little stunned, although the rule armor had a certain healing effect on the body. But Ling Xiao's attack was simply too powerful. Even if it was just an ordinary attack, it still made her unable to recover for a long time. Was it Ling Xiao again? The Heavenly Emperor said coldly, "That's right. Ling Xiao is too strong. We're not his match at all. I'm afraid only Lord King Zhong can suppress him." That woman was already filled with fear towards Ling Xiao at this time. She was afraid that even if she met Ling Xiao again, she would not have the courage to fight. Don't worry. Ling Xiao doesn't have the rule armor. He will definitely die. Whether it's King Zhong and Kong or Dragon Shark King, they won't let him go. The Heavenly Emperor said while gnashing his teeth. He didn't know that behind his anger, there was also a strong jealousy. Why did a genius like Ling Xiao not belong to his Heavenly Emperor dynasty? There are still 7 spots left. That Ling Xiao won't hide, right? Right now, these people outside basically wanted Ling Xiao to die. Ling Xiao's sudden rise completely disrupted their plans, causing them to be humiliated. Just think about it. People who originally had noble status suddenly discovered that a lowly commoner had become the most outstanding person among them. Furthermore, they were all inferior. How could their mentality be balanced? Moreover, Ling Xiao eliminated 2 people from the Avenging Alliance and 2 people from the Heavenly Emperor dynasty. Coupled with the enmity with Wan Guo, it was normal for others to hate him. However, they wanted Ling Xiao to die, but they were also afraid that Ling Xiao would hide and not show himself. These people were really conflicted. No, that brat is very arrogant. He even dared to provoke the Blood Axe Serpent clan. He didn't even give face to the master of the Fiend God token. How could he possibly hide? Just wait, he will definitely come out. Dragon Mother gritted her teeth. Although no one from Tata Land had been eliminated yet, he was still worried about his daughter, the Koi King, compared to Nkong, who was at the 2nd level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm, and the Dragon Shark King, who was at the 1st level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm. The Koi King's strength could not keep up. He was definitely no match for Ling Xiao. She only hoped that Ling Xiao would be eliminated as soon as possible. That way, the Koi King would be safer. Brother Ling, what is that? Ling Xiao didn't know what the people outside thought of him. At this moment, he and the Soul Warrior had arrived outside a strange building. What is this place? Ling Xiao was also curious. I've never heard of such a building in the world of the dead. It looked like an ancient temple. The words Imperial Temple were written on it. At this time, the door of the Imperial Temple was ajar, as if someone had already entered. Imperial Temple? What Imperial Temple? Could it be related to the 8 great ancient emperors? Or is it related to the 9 supremes? The Soul Warrior muttered to himself. Don't think so much. Since you're curious, let's go in and take a look. Ling Xiao smiled and walked towards the Imperial Temple. Just as they were about to step into the Imperial Temple, a figure suddenly walked out from inside. Ling Xiao immediately stopped in his tracks and looked at that person. It turned out to be an old acquaintance. Koi King, Ling Xiao. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Ling Xiao was fine. He had taken a lot of advantage from the Koi King, so he didn't hate the Koi King. But the Koi King was different. The Koi King was almost killed by Ling Xiao, and the Ice Emperor's inheritance was snatched away by Ling Xiao. She must be furious. In her eyes, Ling Xiao was someone she had to kill. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. The Koi King was taken aback for a moment, then smiled coldly. In her hands, there are 2 short knives that were as smooth as water. The short knives seemed to be made of water, and the blade seemed to be able to move. It was very strange. Soul Warrior, step back. Ling Xiao could feel the special aura of the Koi King. It seemed that the Koi King's strength had increased in this world of the dead. Although she had not broken through, Her fighting strength had definitely increased a lot. The soul warrior nodded and retreated to the side. Ling Xiao did not leave, but looked coldly at the Koi King. I advise you not to make a move. Although I don't know what you got here to increase your strength, but you're still not my match. To be honest, I don't want to kill you, but don't force me. Ling Xiao looked at the Koi King. He had no interest in this weakling. Are you afraid? The Koi King suddenly laughed and said, You're unlucky. If we had met before, you would have killed me, but now you don't have the chance. As she spoke, she took a step forward with her right foot, and her killing intent suddenly erupted. On the two knives, the knife momentum bloomed wildly. The two knives came together, and a cross-like killing move stabbed toward Ling Xiao. Extremely fast, extremely accurate. Ling Xiao only felt a flash of cold light, and then he felt the killing intent of death. Martial spirit? No. What is that? Ling Xiao looked at the imperial temple behind the Koi King and suddenly understood something. Soul warrior, go to the imperial temple. I'll be right there. Ling Xiao did not intend to tangle with the Koi King. He could feel that there was a power in the Koi King's body that did not belong to her. At this time, behind the Koi King, in addition to the martial spirit, there was a strange figure. Demon spirit? Demon spirits were different from martial spirits. The martial spirit was completely controlled by the martial artist. The stronger the martial artist, the stronger the martial spirit. On the other hand, demon spirits were originally powerful undead spirits. They were only hired by the martial artist and could bestow all of their combat power to the martial artist. Demon spirits would not become stronger as the martial artist became stronger. Their strength would always be the same as when they were alive. They could not cultivate or improve. In the past, Ling Xiao had also heard that almost all martialists were possessed by demon spirits. He had never imagined that he would actually see the existence of demon spirits in the primordial divine tomb. The difference was that Yuan venerates were not considered demon spirits, as their souls were not dead. Only their physical bodies were destroyed. On the other hand, demon spirits existed with physical bodies and their souls were dead. They only relied on their instincts to fight. They were clumsy, but it would be different if they cooperated with a martial artist. In the face of the Koi King's attack, Ling Xiao was actually fighting a first-level reincarnation, divine, grade demon spirit. The attack speed of this demon spirit was really fast. Ling Xiao had already reacted as quickly as possible. However, the two knives still stabbed his body. Even though he had the protection of the king-grade, black, tortoise divine body, a cross-shaped bloody mark still appeared on his body. He felt a stinging sensation on his skin. Chapter 3460. Do you see that? This is my new power. The Koi King sneered, and her expression became ferocious. The two blades in her hands danced again, and the cold blade light flashed again. The blade was too fast. In an instant, it was already close. Ling Xiao clearly felt that he had avoided it, but he was still inexplicably hit. Seeing two more bloody marks on his body, Ling Xiao became more and more curious. The power of this demon spirit was really powerful. To be able to let a heaven-changing fate realm martial artist exert the strength of a first-level reincarnation divine realm martial artist. Moreover, this first-level reincarnation divine realm demon spirit seemed to be much stronger than those good-for-nothings in the God Devil City. Was it because of the effect of the combination? Or was the demon spirit so powerful when she was alive? It was hard to say, but would Ling Xiao be afraid of a first-level reincarnation divine realm martial artist? He finally entered the transformation state of the limitless heavenly rat beast soul. Then the power of the tyrant martial spirit was released. At this moment, Ling Xiao was truly attacking with all his strength. No matter what tricks you play, it's useless. You will die today. The Koi King saw the terrifying battle power released by Ling Xiao. It was the same feeling as in the Ice Emperor's mausoleum. She was a little afraid, so her attack was even faster. She wanted to kill Ling Xiao quickly. The blade light was still so fast. Ling Xiao knew that he couldn't avoid it, so he didn't bother to. He took out the Ice Age, holding it in his hand. He waved it out crazily. The Koi King was originally attacking Ling Xiao, but she felt the terrifying energy erupting from the Ice Age. At that moment, her body movements became much slower. Damn it! The Koi King frowned and could only wave the short blade in her hand to block the Ice Age. Boom! A terrifying explosion resounded. The two retreated at the same time. The Koi King with the first-level reincarnation divine, realm demon spirit, was really not easy to deal with. This woman was a genius, much stronger than ordinary first-level reincarnation, divine, realm martial artists. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said, "Excuse me, I'm going to take a look inside the Emperor Temple." With the help of the Koi King's attack, he retreated into the Imperial Temple. After that, the doors to the Emperor's Temple closed with a bang. The warrior souls inside closed the door. There was a mechanism on the door of the large temple, so it was easy to do this. The Koi King tried to attack the temple door, but not only was it ineffective, it was even injured. Left with no choice, the Koi King could only stop his attacks and gloomily stare at the entrance of the Imperial Temple. He was so close to being able to kill Ling Xiao. What a pity! At this moment, in the central square, everyone looked at the battle helplessly. Ling Xiao's life is really tough. But what exactly is that ancient temple? Why haven't I heard of it before? Could it be that the person who entered the world of the dead has the key item to open the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum? No matter what it is, if we enter that place, we might find something good. I'm afraid that Ling Xiao will become even stronger after he comes out. The master of the God Devil Order said coldly, "Mo Ling." I didn't expect that even the Mo Ling would appear. It seems that the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum is not far away. The warrior's souls, hiding in the dark, heaved a sigh of relief. At the very least, he now knew that Dark Frost, Ling Xiao, and the warrior souls were not dead. As long as they were not dead, the people outside would not dare to do anything to him, nor would they do anything to him. After all, he was just a lackey. After stepping into the Emperor's temple, Ling Xiao walked forward with the warrior souls while healing his injuries. They began to explore the mysteries of the Emperor's temple. Ling Xiao believed that the Koi King could get the help of the Mo Ling. He would definitely be able to do it too. His luck had always been good. After walking for a while, the two of them saw countless memorial tablets. From top to bottom, they were densely packed. There were at least 1,000 of them. The one at the top was labeled Ancient Sword Empress. Below that were the 8 great ancient emperors. Following that were the memorial tablets of the various kings and generals. The owners of these memorial tablets were at least at the first level of the reincarnation divine realm. The Mo Ling that the Koi King got previously should be one of them. The Ancient Sword Empress should be the Ancient Sword Emperor's woman. Ling Xiao thought and went to look for the Ancient Sword Emperor's memorial tablet. He realized that it did not exist. It seemed that the Ancient Sword Emperor did not set up a memorial tablet here. His memorial tablet should be in the Ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum. Warrior souls, see if there is a suitable Mo Ling for you. Ling Xiao said to the warrior souls, and then sat down cross-legged. His soul power began to explore the memorial tablets, hoping to find a suitable Mo Ling for himself. The moment he touched the memorial tablet, there was suddenly a lot of information in Ling Xiao's mind. A Mo Ling can have 2 at most. The strength of a Mo Ling is at most 2 levels higher than a martial artist. Soul power, comprehension, and the strength of the martial soul will all affect the strength and number of Mo Ling. This information at least allowed Ling Xiao to understand why the Koi King could only get a first-level reincarnation divine realm Mo Ling. There were many powerful devil spirits, but whether or not you had the qualifications to obtain them was another matter altogether. At this time, the warrior souls must have received the same information. He did not speak, but continued to explore. His soul power could tell him which Mo Ling was most suitable for him and which level was the most suitable for him. Just as he was exploring, the ice age on his body suddenly glowed with a strange luster. The Ice Emperor's memorial tablet also began to glow. The luster of the two items merged into one. Ling Xiao suddenly burst out with a shrill scream. It was too terrifying. That kind of power almost caused him to have a mental breakdown. Fortunately, he had the Sky Tyrant martial soul. A powerful martial soul and powerful soul power quickly suppressed this horror. When he came back to his senses, the Ice Emperor's memorial tablet had disappeared. Furthermore, he could feel that a terrifying demonic spirit had appeared in his body, the Ice Empress. The Ice Emperor's true strength is actually at the 9th level of the reincarnation divine realm. Ling Xiao had this feeling the moment he got the Ice Emperor's Mo Ling. However, even though he had obtained such a powerful Mo Ling, the true strength he could use was at most at the 2nd level of the reincarnation divine realm. As his cultivation base increased, the strength of the Ice Emperor's Mo Ling would also be further unsealed. The Ice Emperor was a martialist at the 9th level of the reincarnation divine realm. What level was the ancient Sword Emperor at? Ling Xiao had never heard of a realm above the reincarnation divine realm. Above the reincarnation divine realm is the reincarnation divine meridian realm. From this realm onwards, one has to prepare for the next reincarnation. Both the physical body and the spirit will be strengthened. Only then will one be able to withstand the torture of the next reincarnation. The Yuan Venerate suddenly said, "Reincarnation divine meridian realm." This was the first time Ling Xiao had heard of such a realm. It seemed like the ancient Sword Emperor should be a powerhouse of this realm, or perhaps even stronger. You don't seem surprised? The Yuan Venerate said with a smile, "There's nothing to be surprised about. The first reincarnation is extremely risky. The second reincarnation will most likely be a narrow escape. If one is not adequately prepared, I'm afraid one won't survive. The existence of these realms is more reasonable." Chapter 3461. Good lad. I didn't dare tell you this in the past because I was afraid that you would be confused. Now it seems like I was thinking too much. You're much stronger and calmer than I thought you would be. The Yuan Venerate chuckled. All right, you've gotten the Ice Emperor's demon spirit. You've really profited this time. The Ice Emperor's inheritance and the Ice Emperor's demon spirit are actually the most perfect combination. Take your time to familiarize yourself with it. I won't disturb you any further. Ling Xiao opened his eyes and discovered that the warrior soul was still comprehending. Thus, he didn't disturb him. Instead, he sat aside and began to familiarize himself with the use of the Ice Emperor's demon spirit. He wasn't greedy. Although he could still try to obtain other demon spirits, he had to at least familiarize himself with the Ice Emperor's demon spirit first. Otherwise, who knew what would happen if he was too greedy? After an unknown amount of time, perhaps an hour, the doors of the Dharch temple, which were originally closed, opened automatically. Ling Xiao stood up abruptly. It seemed like the Dharch temple didn't allow martialists to stay inside. If one couldn't comprehend after a certain period of time, they could only leave. Otherwise, they might face danger. When the doors opened, the martialists outside would enter. Rustling sounds could be heard from inside. Is it a spirit? The warrior soul asked suddenly, Are you done? Yes, I came to the right place. I obtained a first-level reincarnation, divine, grade demon spirit. This is awesome. The warrior's soul said excitedly, As long as you're happy. Ling Xiao didn't have the nerve to say that he had obtained the Ice Emperor's demon spirit. Otherwise, the warrior's soul would be upset again. Oh, when Ling Xiao stepped out of the Dharch temple, he saw two people. One was the Koi King. The other was Prince Tian. Both the Koi King and Prince Tian possessed demon spirits. It seemed like there was more than one Dharch temple in the world of the dead. The things inside were probably the same. Are you here to kill me? Ling Xiao raised his head and looked at the two of them. He did not have the armor of laws. That would mean that he would really die, unlike other martial artists. Even if other martial artists died, they could rely on the rule armor to survive. It's good that you know. I was just waiting for you and that soul palace trash to come out. The Koi King looked at Ling Xiao and sneered. She had originally planned to wait here alone, but she considered that Ling Xiao had a helper. That was why he went to look for Prince Tian. Fortunately, he was not late. Ling Xiao had just walked out of the Arch Temple. I have to thank you for bringing him here. Ling Xiao pointed at Prince Tian and sneered. What do you mean? The Koi King did not understand. Don't you understand? This time, in the world of the dead, the one I want to kill the most is Prince Tian. As for you, I don't hate you that much. Ling Xiao smiled. Cut the crap. You don't hate me, but I hate you to the core. Today you must die. The Koi King roared. Koi King, don't be angry. With me here today, he won't be able to survive. Prince Tian stood in front of the Koi King proudly. I'm your man. Naturally, I have to solve your problem for you. Thank you, but let me go first. I can't wait to eat his flesh piece by piece. If I'm not a match for him, it won't be too late for you to make a move. The Koi King said. What she wanted to do the most now was to kill Ling Xiao with her own hands. If it was someone else, she would not be able to vent her hatred. Do you really think I don't exist? Du Hun had obtained the first level of the reincarnation divine realm, and his combat strength was not inferior to the Koi King. Therefore, he wanted to participate in the battle this time. Brother Du Hun, can you give me a chance to show off? Ling Xiao looked at Du Hun and smiled. Why? You want to deal with the two of them alone? Du Hun was stunned for a moment. That's Prince Tian, who has the Sky Sword inheritance. I know, but I still want to try. If I can't even kill him, wouldn't I have no chance against King Zhou? Ling Xiao was still smiling. All right, I'll give it to you. But let's make it clear. If I see that you can't do it, I'll definitely intervene. You're the Temple Master's good brother. I definitely can't let you die, Du Hun said. No problem, but I'm afraid you won't have that chance. To be honest, I don't care about these two people. Ling Xiao looked at Prince Tian and the Koi King with strong confidence in his eyes. Stupid guy, you're so full of yourself. Koi King, don't kill him too quickly. Play with him slowly until he dies. Prince Tian was completely infuriated by Ling Xiao's attitude. When Ling Xiao first entered the immemorial divine tomb, he was just a nobody. He only let him escape because he underestimated his opponent. But he did not take this kid seriously. But that time in the green zone, Ling Xiao's combat strength shocked him greatly. Today, Ling Xiao's attitude infuriated him even more. How dare a little rat look down on him, Prince Tian? Even if you don't say it, I won't let him go. The Koi King took out his dual blades again and looked coldly at Ling Xiao. Don't think that you can fight against me just because you have a demon soul. You have a demon soul for a much shorter time than me. I don't believe that you can use it better than me. The Koi King walked towards Ling Xiao and said angrily. Obviously, he was also infuriated by Ling Xiao's contempt. Ling Xiao ignored him. With a wave of his hand, the water in the air condensed into a sword of ice. This was the ability he gained after obtaining the Ice Emperor's demon soul. The sword of ice was completely condensed from Ice True Yuan. It was probably even more powerful than the Ice Sovereign Sword and was close to a precious Emperor weapon. Sword of True Yuan? Most people can condense a Sword of True Yuan, but it's just an empty shell. It's not as good as a mortal-grade Emperor weapon. The Koi King sneered and lightly tapped the ground with the tip of his foot. He flew up like a dragonfly. In an instant, he flew towards Ling Xiao. The two aqua-blue weapons flickered with a strange cold light. His speed was indeed faster than before. However, Ling Xiao was even more indifferent than before. His body instantly entered the peerless heavenly rat-beast soul transformation state. Then, the sword of ice in his hand looked like he was casually swinging it. There was no speed, nor any feeling of surging power. It felt like he was just playing. Do you think your defense can block this sword of mine? To tell you the truth, my previous 2 attacks were not mature enough. But this time, the attack is at least 3 times stronger than before. Can you block it?" The Koi King's voice sounded. The 2 short blades in his hand merged into one, and his lethality increased sharply. However, Ling Xiao still casually stabbed out with his sword. The sword of ice moved forward at a very steady speed in the void. The moment it touched the opponent, the cold air suddenly exploded. The entire space seemed to have turned into an ice cave. At that moment, the Koi King's body suddenly trembled. His arms were frozen stiff. The 2 blades in his hand fell to the ground. Chapter 3462. Qi. Ling Xiao's sword pierced the Koi King's throat. It was like stabbing into a piece of tofu. The Koi King's defense was completely ineffective. How is this possible? The Koi King's body gradually turned into white light. The moment she was teleported out, she still could not believe that she was eliminated so easily. That feeling was simply like a dream. The opponent's sword was clearly so slow. How could there be such a terrifying cold sword intent? Could it be the Ice Emperor? Could it be that he obtained the Ice Emperor's devil spirit? I hope you can learn a lesson this time. Otherwise, the next time I meet you, I'm afraid the rule armor won't be able to save you. Ling Xiao's voice sounded in the Koi King's ear. The Koi King was finally completely teleported out. It was only at that moment that she suddenly understood that since the battle in the Ice Emperor's mausoleum, Ling Xiao had grown again. Moreover, the speed of his growth was simply astonishing. It had already exceeded her imagination. She was defeated. Not only was her body defeated, even her soul had been defeated. Revenge? Did she really have a chance to take revenge? In the central square, Dragon Mother's face was very ugly. On the big screen, the scene just now was clearly played out. And when the Koi King was forcibly teleported out, everything that happened on the screen was confirmed. The Koi King was defeated by Ling Xiao once again. If it was said that the Koi King had underestimated the opponent last time, then what about this time? Ling Xiao actually eliminated the Koi King so easily. What kind of terrifying extent had that kid from the 8 Immortals country grown to? No wonder this kid is so rampant. It's indeed a bit interesting. They both entered the Emperor's temple and obtained the Devil Spirit, but the improvement was completely different. The Koi King's talent is far inferior to his. The God Devil token owner stroked his chin and smiled with interest. It's a pity that such a genius has to offend me. You killed so many people from the Blood Axe Snake clan. There's no possibility of you surviving. No matter what, you have to die. Dragon Mother suddenly looked at the battle, soul hiding in the crowd, a cold light flashing in her eyes. Suddenly, his body trembled as he charged towards the war spirit. Since they were temporarily unable to find trouble with Ling Xiao, they could only vent their anger on Soul Palace. When the crowd saw Dragon Mother's behavior, some were disdainful, while some were gloating. Who asked War Soul to have a good relationship with Ling Xiao? Serves you right. It seems like there are always people who don't put me in their eyes. Dragon Mother. Suddenly a loud shout was heard. Dragon Mother felt dizzy. She spat out a mouthful of blood and fell from the sky. She was the #1 expert of the Western regions. However, in front of the master of the Fiend God token, he was unable to withstand a single blow. If you want revenge, wait until the Divine Invitational Tournament is over. Now, if anyone dares to make a move here, don't blame me for being rude. The owner of the Fiend God token did not care who died, but he cared about his face. If someone was killed in the competition that he presided over and it was outside of the rules, he would be punished. Then where would he put his face? Dragon Mother got up from the ground and obediently returned to the Tato Lands array. The strength of the master of the Fiend God token once again shocked everyone. Make an enemy out of such a person? Unless your brain is sick or you don't want to live anymore. Everyone looked at the big screen again. At this time, Prince Tian was facing off against Ling Xiao. One of them obtained the Sky Sword Emperor Demon Spirit, while the other obtained the Ice Emperor Demon Spirit. In terms of the strength of the Demon Spirit, there was no difference between them. However, during the battle, who was stronger would be revealed. It was the same ancient emperor-level Demon Spirit. When Ling Xiao used it, it was like moving clouds and flowing water. It was as if he was using his own strength. However, Prince Tian was different. Every time he attacked, there would be a moment of stagnation. Obviously, there was a lack of communication between him and the Sky Sword Emperor Demon Spirit, or he could not completely control it freely. In such a battle, Prince Tian soon fell into a disadvantage. The more he fought, the more frightened he became. The more he fought, the more terrified he became. Finally, after more than 10 minutes, he chose to escape. The dignified Prince Tian, "Is this your greatest ability?" Ling Xiao ridiculed and rushed out to chase. War Soul also followed. "King Zhong, save me!" Prince Tian shouted as he ran away. Following Prince Tian's shout, a terrifying aura came from afar at an extremely fast speed. A moment later, it was already nearby. Ling Xiao sighed. Anyway, Prince Tian had the armor of rules. He could not kill him. If King Zhong came and the two of them joined forces, he was afraid he would be in trouble. "War Soul, let's go." A wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. Anyway, there was still a one-on-one battle. And at that time, Prince Tian would no longer have the armor of rules. He wanted to kill Prince Tian in front of everyone. When King Zhong arrived, Ling Xiao and War Soul had already left. However, Ling Xiao's luck was not good this time. On the way, he met another powerful existence, and Kong of all countries, a low-key expert who was not famous. And Kong saw Ling Xiao and revealed a smile on his face. "Koi was eliminated by you, right?" Ling Xiao did not know how he found out, but there was nothing to deny about such things. He nodded. "That's right. It's good that you admit it." And Kong sneered, and a demonic eye appeared behind him. Ling Xiao had heard of his ability. He could hit the enemy 100% of the time. No matter what kind of attack, the enemy would not be able to avoid it. Of course, there was a limit to this. It must be within a kilometer. And now, the distance between the two was only 50 to 60 meters. It was just within Kang's shooting range. Haha, this time Ling Xiao is dead for sure. The Revenge Alliance, Heavenly Imperial Court, and all countries' martial artists suddenly became excited. Through the big screen, they saw Ling Xiao's encounter with Kong. Each and every one of them wanted to jump up. On the other hand, Dragon Mother's gloomy expression finally showed some joy. "Can we not fight?" Ling Xiao asked. "No." And Kong sneered. "Then let's see if you can stop me. War Soul, I'll have to trouble you first." Ling Xiao directly put the War Soul into the beast ring. Otherwise, it would be troublesome to escape. After placing the War Soul, his figure flashed as he used blizzard ice sealing steps and fled into the distance. "Do you think you can escape?" And Kong sneered, and the demonic eye behind him flickered. A powerful aura spewed out from his palm. It accurately hit Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao had tried, and it was useless no matter how hard he tried. The force seemed to be able to lock onto the enemy. No matter how he dodged, it would eventually hit him. Suction palm. With an angry roar from Kong, the force turned into a stream of water, pulling Ling Xiao's body back and flying in Kang's direction. "Break for me." Ling Xiao no longer tried to escape. An explosive aura was released from his body, instantly breaking apart the stream of water. At the same time, it froze. However, Kong seemed to have expected this. He was already prepared for the next step of his attack. His figure flashed, and like a swimming fish, he appeared behind Ling Xiao in an instant. Chapter 3463. He could feel the killing intent coming from Kong. Ling Xiao didn't even turn his head. A sword light exploded from his hand, and then pierced towards Kong's waist. Kill. Terrifying killing intent blossomed from Ling Xiao's body. Although there was no enemy in his eyes, his killing intent had already locked onto the enemy. Not only was this sword sudden, but it also contained a terrifying chill. In that instant, even Ankang felt the chill descend, and his body's movements were clearly much slower. Ling Xiao's sword suddenly sped up, within the domain of absolute frost. The speed of his frost sword was extremely fast. Moreover, he had already released the Ice Emperor's devil spirit. That kind of speed was not only difficult to see with the naked eye, it was as if he completely ignored the restrictions of distance. When he made his move, the sword was already at Ankang's throat. Ankang's expression instantly became extremely unsightly. However, he was still a second-level reincarnation god realm martial artist, so his reaction was still extremely fast. The palm that attacked Ling Xiao was used to block Ling Xiao's ice sword. Qi. However, this sword was much stronger than he had imagined. He had reacted hastily again. His entire right palm was pierced through by the ice sword. Because it was too cold, there was actually no blood. Only the heart-wrenching pain caused Ankang's expression to darken. He had never suffered at the hands of a life-sizer before. To him, a martial artist like Ling Xiao could be easily killed as long as he made a move. But this time he had been hit. If he hadn't reacted quickly enough, this sword would have pierced his throat and sent him out of the world of the dead. If he was eliminated, it would be truly humiliating. Today you must die. In that instant, Ankang exploded with anger that he had never shown before. His entire body began to change. Originally, he was completely in human form, but now he looked 70% like a fish. The fish scales on his body shone. His battle intent completely erupted. This was the original form of the Sea clan. However, many of them thought that the human form was more beautiful. It was also more suitable for living on land. Therefore, after coming to land, they chose to completely transform into human form. However, the Sea clan was the Sea clan. Once they fought to the point of forgetting themselves, they would forget everything. A terrifying, murderous aura was still being emitted from his body. He punched out with both of his fists, and two terrifying streams of water turned into two flood dragons that collided with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao swung his sword to block, but the sword of ice in his hand was actually shattered by Ankang. The remaining power then struck his body. He was pushed back more than 10 steps. However, Ling Xiao didn't let Ankang off easily. The moment the sword of ice shattered, the ice shards exploded in Ankang's palm. The hand was blown to smithereens and could no longer be used. Ankang did not care about his shattered palm and continued to attack. The blood fused into the water flow and condensed into a trident, which stabbed viciously toward Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had no intention of backing down. Looks like you didn't obtain the devil spirit. If that's the case, then go to hell. After a few exchanges, Ling Xiao had already figured out Ankang's background. Although Ankang's cultivation was strong, he did not obtain a devil spirit. This way, Ling Xiao could control the Ice Emperor's demon spirit and possibly defeat Ankang. He no longer used the Sword of Ice. Ling Xiao directly summoned the Ice Age. The Ice Age was also a mass of cold air. Then, it condensed into a two-handed greatsword. Ling Xiao held it in his hand and actually felt much more comfortable than before. It was also easier to control. This was probably the influence of the Ice Emperor's demon spirit. Kill. Facing the crazy Ankang, Ling Xiao did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. The Ice Age in his hand shuttled through the domain of extreme cold. Its speed was at least 2 times faster than outside the domain. Boom, kacha! Ankang's trident collided with the Ice Age and was instantly frozen. Then it shattered. At this moment, Ankang finally revealed a look of fear. Demon spirit. You actually obtained the Ice Emperor's demon spirit. No wonder you're so powerful. It's too late to know now. Ling Xiao originally didn't plan to fight Ankang head-on, because no matter who won, they would consume a lot of energy. If Prince Tian and King Zhong chased after him at this time, it would be troublesome. However, this and Kong insisted on killing him, so he could only passively fight. The Ice Emperor's demon spirit and the Ice Emperor's inheritance. At this moment, Ling Xiao was like the Ice Emperor's reappearance. The terrifying Ice Age's sword slashed at Kong, causing him to be unable to fight back. Ice Supreme Frost Sword Art. Seeing that the situation was about right, Ling Xiao actually tried to use the Ice Age to execute the Ice Supreme Frost Sword Art. The moment the sword art was successfully condensed, Ling Xiao knew that his judgment was correct. The Ice Age and the Ice Supreme sword were both Ice-type weapons. However, its grade was much higher than the Ice Supreme sword. Although Ling Xiao was still unable to fully unleash the power of the Ice Age. However, this sword was even more terrifying than the one released by the Ice Supreme sword, and Kong turned around and fled in fear. He knew that he couldn't block this sword. However, he didn't fly far before he was kicked back by a figure. It just so happened to collide with Ling Xiao's Ice Age. The Ice Supreme Frost Sword art completely exploded. At that moment, Kong was filled with regret. He was depressed. Why did he have to stop Ling Xiao? He didn't have to be eliminated. However, at this moment, his body had already turned into white light and flew out of the world of the dead. How could this be? Even Kong was eliminated by that Ling Xiao. How could this Ling Xiao become so strong? Many people who hated Ling Xiao felt very upset at this moment. They were filled with a sense of loss. They were also filled with fear. They originally looked down on Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao's strength had increased to such a level. They finally began to revere him. At this moment, among the warriors of the Western region, the only ones who could truly pose a threat to Ling Xiao were Dragon Mother and the leader of the Avenging Alliance. Even a martial artist at the second level of the Reincarnation Divine realm might not be his match if he didn't obtain the demon spirit. How could this be? The Heavenly King gritted his teeth, his heart filled with anger. The stronger Ling Xiao was, the more unlikely it would be for him to obtain the Ice Emperor's inheritance. How many people are left to be eliminated? There's only one left. While everyone was talking, many battles were still going on in the world of the dead. Out of the 10 people sent by the owner of the Fiend God Order, 3 had been eliminated. Only 7 people were left. 2 of them were killed by Feng Fei and Tianhai Tyranny. It was obvious that those 2 had obtained the demon spirit, and their fighting strength had soared. One had Fairy Linglong's demon spirit, while the other had Emperor Yan's demon spirit. The other person was killed by Dark Frost. There were still 12 people left from the Western region. 2 from Soul Hall, Dark Frost and Soul Battle. 3 from 8 Immortals Country, Ling Xiao, Little Jean, and Cold Plum. 3 from the Avenging Alliance, Feng Fei, Tianhai Tyranny, and Linglong Saintess. 1 from 10,000 Countries, Dragon Shark King. 2 from Celestial Dynasty, Imperial Prince Tian, Duke of Zhong, and Long Qin. Out of the remaining 19 people, 1 had to be eliminated. Otherwise, this battle wouldn't end. However, there were still many battles going on at the same time. Someone could be eliminated at any time. Chapter 3464. Little girl, you're here? The one who kicked Kong over was Dark Frost. I heard princes shout that day. I guessed that you were here, so I came over. Dark Frost smiled. Palace Master. Do Hun was also released from Ling Xiao's beast ring. He said excitedly, I don't know what the situation is like now, but we're lucky to have 2 people left in our soul hall. That's right. The 10 guys sent by the owner of the God and Devil Order are too strange. Not only are they strong, but 7 of them have already obtained the Devil Soul. Dark Frost sighed. While the 3 of them were talking, Prince Tian and King Zhong had already left quietly. Originally, Prince Tian and King Zhong had come to take revenge. But when they saw Dark Frost present, they did not dare to talk about revenge. The 2 of them might not be able to defeat Dark Frost alone. At this moment, somewhere on the battlefield, the Dragon Shark King was facing two experts sent by the owner of the God and Devil Order alone. It seemed that he had been forced into a corner. However, there was not the slightest worry on his face. His eyes were filled with confidence. After experiencing the battle with Ling Xiao, he understood his flaws. After that, he obtained the 7-star Battle Emperor's inheritance. He even found the 7-star Battle Emperor's devil soul in the world of the dead. His combat strength had greatly increased. 1 against 2, it was very troublesome. However, it did not mean that there was no chance of winning. This chance of winning was the other party's underestimation of him. He had reached a point where he could no longer retreat. One of the opponents suddenly attacked, and he was finally alone. Although this so-called alone was actually just a distance of more than 10 meters. However, to the Dragon Shark King, this was his only chance, and it was also the chance he had been waiting for. A saber suddenly appeared and pierced through that person's body. That person turned into a white light and was teleported out. 7-star saber. This is the weapon left behind by the 7-star Battle Emperor. It's a weapon of the same level as the Ice Age. The Dragon Shark King had used it to eliminate one of the experts sent by the owner of the God and Devil Order. At this point, the final list of the 18 people was finally out. No matter who continued to fight, it would be considered a violation of the rules and would be removed from the promotion list. It seems to be over. Ling Xiao saw a circle of light appear under Dark Frost and Dohan's feet. He knew that this should be a sign that they were about to be teleported out. There was no circle of light under his feet. It was probably because he didn't have any armor of rules, so he had to walk out of the portal himself. Helplessly, this was the only way. You guys go on ahead. I'll catch up with you soon. After Ling Xiao finished speaking, he fled in the direction he had come from. After walking for about 100 meters, he suddenly stopped. The reason for that was because a door had appeared not too far away from him. Outside the door were 9 weapons, the weapons used by the 9 Supremes in the past. Inside that door, there was an aura that made people yearn for it. He wanted to walk over and open the door. However, the door gradually disappeared. Ling Xiao frowned. What he could confirm was that this door did not exist when he came here. Just as he was feeling puzzled, a dot on the map of the divine tomb of the western regions began to flicker. After zooming in, this was the location of the world of the dead. It seems that this map of the western region is indeed related to the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum, but I don't know what the connection is. Maybe I'll have to wait until I enter the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum to find out. Ling Xiao looked around. A chilly wind blew, and suddenly many departed spirits appeared. He didn't dare to stay any longer. He rushed out of the portal and arrived at the central square. When he arrived at the central square, there were already many people gathered there. Those who were eliminated and those who advanced were all there. However, Ling Xiao found that everyone's expression was not very good. What's going on? Ling Xiao walked up to Dark Frost and asked. The owner of the God and Devil Order suddenly announced a change in the rules. The 6 people he sent out will directly get 6 opportunities to enter the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum. The 12 people from the western region will have to fight. The remaining 6 people will have the opportunity to enter the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum. These 6 people will fight again. In the end, the first place can invite 3 people to enter the ancient sword Imperial Mausoleum. The second place can invite 2 people. The third place can only invite 1 person. This person must be chosen from the Western region martial artists. Dark Frost explained. It sounds very complicated. In any case, it was originally a dispensable battle, but now it has become a battle that must be fought? Ling Xiao asked. Yes, that's the principle. Dark Frost sighed and said, The owner of the God and Devil Order is really capricious. It can't be helped. He's stronger. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, Let's do as he says first. In any case, he won't not give us a chance, because he still wants us to bring out the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance and give it to him. Everyone listen up. In the second round of battle, you can kill or cripple your opponent's cultivation. The battle will end when the opponent is killed or falls out of the ring. You are not allowed to admit defeat during the battle. Of course, you can choose to jump out of the ring yourself. A woman standing beside the owner of the God and Devil Order said loudly, "Will people die?" Hearing this, the people from the various major forces of the Western region frowned. If you're afraid of death, then don't participate and just forfeit. In any case, only the strong can obtain the inheritance in the ancient Sword Emperor's mausoleum. It's a waste of time for trash to enter. The owner of the God and Devil Order sneered. It was naturally impossible for anyone to forfeit. At this point, everyone wanted to try their luck. Moreover, they could still jump out of the ring and admit defeat. It was not like they would definitely die. All right, since no one forfeits, then prepare to draw lots. The first battle will be between martial artists who draw the same number. The owner of the God and Devil Order waved his hand lazily. Naturally, someone prepared a box. There was a slip of paper with numbers written on it. This box was obviously made from a special item. Even some martial artists with secret techniques, or eye techniques, could not see through it. However, Ling Xiao tried to use the Tai Chi eye and found that although this thing was magical, it was still unable to block his Tai Chi eye. It seemed that the eye technique brewed from the Sky Tyrant martial soul really exceeded the restrictions of some rules. As long as I don't draw Dark Frost, it'll be fine. If Ling Xiao drew Dark Frost, he would definitely be no match for her, but he was unwilling to let Dark Frost admit defeat. Thus he could only cheat. As for drawing someone else, he didn't care. He didn't fear anyone. Before the drawing of lots began, everyone was discussing the upcoming battle. That Ling Xiao is really terrifyingly strong. He's only at the life-changing realm, but he actually killed Kong. That's a second-level reincarnation divine realm martial artist. Feng Fei and Tianhai Tyranny didn't lose to him either. They also killed a second-level reincarnation divine realm martial artist. There's also the Dragon Shark King. This time's battle is really confusing. Originally, we thought they were strong, but they're just silver spears. Chapter 3465. The silver spear that everyone was talking about was naturally referring to Prince Tian. This caused Prince Tian's face to become extremely gloomy. In the past, he was dazzling and was regarded as the #1 genius of the Western region. Only the Dragon Shark King was worthy of being compared to him. But now he had become the target of everyone's ridicule. This was intolerable. He looked at Ling Xiao and thought that the instigator of all this was Ling Xiao. If it weren't for Ling Xiao, he wouldn't be ridiculed like this. Just you wait. I will definitely kill you. Definitely. Prince Tian gritted his teeth. His confidence came from the resources of the Heavenly Emperor dynasty. He had been in the heavens seizing fate-changing realm for some time, and the battle of the 12 people would definitely not start today. He had to seize the last opportunity. Even if he had to take a risk once, he had to make a breakthrough. As long as my cultivation base breaks through to the first level of the reincarnation divine realm, coupled with the Sky Sword Emperor Mo Ling, who would be my opponent, even that Dark Frost might not be able to defeat me. Prince Tian gritted his teeth and temporarily suppressed his anger in his heart. Not only did Prince Tian hate Ling Xiao to the bone, Dragon Mother was the same. The Koi King was eliminated and Kong was eliminated. Their myriad kingdom only had the Dragon Shark King left. All of this was thanks to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao looked at Dragon Mother without fear and sneered. "Old woman, why are you staring at me? Even if you fancy me, I don't fancy a big fat fish like you." He could feel the killing intent in Dragon Mother's eyes. But would he be afraid? He could feel that he was about to break through to the reincarnation divine realm. At that time, with the help of the Ice Emperor Mo Ling, even Dragon Mother could be destroyed. Dragon Mother's attempt to intimidate him was a waste of effort. Remember, those who offend me will never be able to walk out of this immemorial divine tomb alive. Dragon Mother gritted her teeth and said. At this time, she really didn't dare to do anything other than threatening. First, Dark Frost was beside Ling Xiao. Secondly, she had already been taught a lesson by the master of the God and Devil Order, so she wouldn't forget her lesson. However, she would bury this hatred in the bottom of her heart and wait until the gods and devils' invitational tournament was over to settle the score. Hee. I still advise you not to act recklessly. Although the Koi King and Nkong had been eliminated, they were not dead. If you want to kill me, I can guarantee that your Tado land will disappear from the map. Ling Xiao sneered. Just as Dragon Mother was about to say something, the voice of the God and Devil Order's owner came from the other side. All of you, shut up and start drawing lots. No one dared to defy his authority. This guy was a truly terrifying existence. Just the release of his aura was enough to make Dragon Mother fall to the ground. If he really went berserk, who knew how terrifying it would be? 12 people lined up and waited for the drawing of lots. The rules had been stated before. There were 6 numbers in the box, and whoever got the same number would be the opponent. I'll go first. The Linglong Saintess walked up and was the first one to draw lots. Number 2. She read out the numbers. He didn't seem to care who he was fighting. There probably weren't many people who wanted to meet her. Next, Feng Fei and Tianhai Tyranny both drew lots. One was number 1, and the other was number 3. So far, there was still no match. The martial artists of the Celestial Dynasty followed behind to draw lots. Long Chen was the first to go up and drew number 4. There was still no match. Prince Tian was the next to draw his number. Number 4. Hearing this number, everyone was stunned. The first pair of opponents appeared, but they didn't expect it to be an internal battle of the Celestial Dynasty. Prince Tian glanced at Ling Xiao and said, You got lucky. But don't worry, we'll have a chance to meet again. I just hope you won't be eliminated early. He thought it was an easy draw for him to meet Long Chen, because Long Chen was his pet and would definitely admit defeat. Hearing his words, Ling Xiao couldn't help but smile. It seemed like he didn't need to do anything. Prince Tian might not be Long Chen's opponent. They both had the ancient emperor's legacy. They both had the ancient emperor's devil soul. Moreover, their cultivation levels were the same. Ling Xiao trusted Long Chen more. Just take care of yourself. Don't fail miserably at such an easy task. Ling Xiao smiled, unconcerned. The third to draw lots was Duke Zhong. Number 6. Just like before, only pairs of fighters appeared, but no one was in a hurry. After all, there were only 6 numbers. The closer it got, the more matches there would be. After the Celestial Dynasty drew lots, the Dragon Shark King went up as well. Number 5. Odd number again. Everyone was disappointed. But by now, all the numbers had been drawn. Following that, every time a lot was drawn, a battle would take place. Everyone's mood rose again. Number 1. Lung Mei was the one who drew lots. By now, Cold Plum had already emerged from the mountain river world. In addition to the tremendous change in his temperament, his strength had also skyrocketed, but she had concealed her aura so no one could sense it. Even the owner of the divine devil token couldn't sense Cold Plum's true cultivation level. Who's this person? Why haven't I seen her before? Everyone was confused. I'm one of the participants from the 8 Immortals country. Ling Xiao said simply. There was no need for unnecessary explanations. So it's you. Cold Plum looked towards Feng Fei, her opponent this time. Back on the White Tiger continent, she was no match for Feng Fei in that top-level match. But this time, she was filled with confidence. I hope you don't lose too early, or else it'll be boring. Feng Fei smiled. Cold Plum smiled and returned to Ling Xiao's side. Seeing Ling Xiao with a big beauty and a little beauty, many people were jealous. At the same time, a small golden bird flew towards the drawing lots. Number 3. No way, the demon beasts can draw lots too? Everyone was even more confused. Demon beasts have intelligence too. Why can't they? The owner of the divine devil token said simply, I actually hope that my opponent is Ling Shao and not a bird like you. Tian High Tyranny was disappointed to see Little Gold. Little Gold ignored him and returned to the beast ring to continue cultivating. Drawing lots was just a small interlude for him. Next, it's my turn, right? Ling Shao walked onto the stage. Everyone became nervous. Some wanted to fight with him, while others wanted to avoid him. Number 5. Very good. The Dragon Shark King spoke. The grudge between Ling Shao and Wan Guo was too great. The one he wanted to fight the most was Ling Shao. I think it's good too. Ling Shao smiled and walked off the stage. Then Dark Frost and Do Hun went up to draw lots. Dark Frost drew Linglong Saintus, while Do Hun drew Duke Zhong. Everyone looked at Linglong Saintus and Do Hun sympathetically, because they felt that they had no hope. All right, the drawing of lots is over. Go back and rest today. Tomorrow the duel will begin. After the owner of the divine devil token announced the duel time, he disappeared from his seat. Chapter 3466. Since everything was fine, everyone returned to their respective residences. When Ling Shao and the others returned, they noticed that a blood axe snake clan was monitoring them. It was as if they were afraid that they would run away. Ling Shao was very unhappy with this kind of monitoring. He directly killed the blood axe snake clan's martial artist, who was monitoring them. Anyway, they had already shed all pretense of cordiality, so what was there to be afraid of? He didn't believe that the blood axe snake clan would dare to send someone to monitor them. If someone really came, he would still kill them. Back at their residence, Cold Plum and Xiao Jin still went to cultivate. The rest of the people had a small meeting. Of course, the most important thing was to target Ling Xiao's opponent, the Dragon Shark King. Brother Ling Xiao, you must not underestimate the enemy. The Dragon Shark King's talent is already very terrifying. Plus, he has the inheritance of the 7-star War Emperor and the Demon Spirit. This time, he will definitely become your formidable opponent. I know I have never underestimated him, but to be honest, he is not my opponent, Ling Shao said confidently. Although I also believe in Brother Ling Shao, there is a 7-star war body in the inheritance of the 7-star War Emperor, which belongs to the Intermediate King level war body. There is also a set of movement technique, which belongs to the Elementary King level 7-star Dipper Step. If you ask me, the 7-star Dipper Step is probably more powerful than many Intermediate King level movement techniques. In addition, he is now the only hope of the myriad countries, so Dragon Mother will definitely help him improve his strength as much as possible during this period of time. There are still a few hours before the start of tomorrow's battle. Everything may change, so you have to be prepared. I understand the 7-star War Emperor's inheritance is really special, but it doesn't matter. If I can defeat him once, I can defeat him a second time. In fact, for me, the biggest problem now is not this battle. It is how to deal with the God Devil Token's owner. His purpose is very clear. That is, to let us help him take out the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance, and then seize it. Although everyone knows, no one dares to resist and can only do as he wants. I don't want to make a wedding dress for someone else. After working so hard, I have to give it away. All right, you're quite far-sighted. However, everything has to be done step by step. Dark Frost smiled bitterly. Little girl, don't worry. I said that nothing will happen, so nothing will happen. Ling Shao rubbed Dark Frost's hair and said, Thank you for the information. I'll think about how to deal with the Dragon Shark King. All right then, I won't disturb you anymore. Dark Frost, the warrior souls, and the warrior souls left. Wait a moment. Let the war spirit follow me to the world of the dead. Ling Shao suddenly said, War soul probably didn't get the devil's spirit. If it encounters a battle in the future, I'm afraid it will be very disadvantageous. Also, Xiao Jin and Cold Plum didn't get the devil soul. The world of the dead can only be opened by the owner of the God and devil token, right? Dark Frost frowned. Don't worry, that place is nothing to me. Ling Shao smiled. Then, everyone went to the world of the dead together. In fact, the way to enter the world of the dead was very simple. Either you have powerful strength and can forcefully open the portal, or you know how to set up arrays. Ling Xiao obviously belonged to the latter. After entering the world of the dead, they went to the temple and began to comprehend. Ling Xiao treated the undead in the world of the dead as his training partner and began to fight crazily. The next day came quickly. Everyone appeared at the exit of the world of the dead. I didn't expect Long Qin to get the Dragon Emperor Devil Soul. Cold Plum is even more terrifying. She actually got the ancient Sword Emperor Devil Soul. Ling Xiao was a little emotional. He was now more and more curious about Cold Plum's background. Master, no matter what my identity is, I will always be Master's follower. Cold Plum couldn't help but say when she saw Ling Xiao's confused look. Cold Plum, I've said it a long time ago. We are not master and servant but friends. Ling Xiao said with a wry smile. Master, do you hate Cold Plum? Cold Plum's face suddenly changed. Forget it, forget it. Let's not talk about it anymore. You can call me whatever you like. Let's go, everyone should set off. Our destination is the central square. Ling Xiao didn't intend to correct her. Anyway, it was enough for him to treat Cold Plum as a friend in his heart. When everyone arrived at the central square, the martial artists of the other forces had already arrived. Coupled with the audience from the Divine Devil City, the scene was very grand. He was almost completely surrounded. Perhaps to those martial artists from the Divine Devil City, we are still noobs after all. Do Hun said with a wry smile. Then do your best. Let the people of the Divine Devil City see that the martial artists of the Western region are not noobs. Ling Xiao gritted his teeth. This long battle was not only about whether they could enter the immemorial Imperial Mausoleum, but also a battle of dignity. Ling Xiao's appearance immediately attracted everyone's attention. This guy had become too famous recently. He had killed at least tens of thousands of people from the Blood Axe Snake Clan, and even killed the daughter of the Blood Axe Snake Clan's patriarch. And he even dared to talk back to the Divine Devil Order's owner. Just these 2 points alone were enough to make him infamous. In fact, Ling Xiao didn't care about being infamous. He had always done things with a clear conscience and only followed his heart. Their mouths were on other people's bodies. What other people wanted to say was their business. He just needed to do his own thing well. The Koi King looked at Ling Xiao with a flicker in his eyes. Fear, anger, and a little complicated. However, the way Prince Tian looked at Ling Xiao was filled with hatred. And today, Ling Xiao found that Prince Tian's situation was a little strange. He actually broke through in one night. Damn, a big force is a big force. Their resources are really terrifying. But Long Qin seems to have broken through too. The Sky Emperor dynasty has set up such a strong enemy for me. I wonder if he will die of anger when he finds out the result? Ling Xiao smiled, feeling happy for Long Qin. At this moment, Long Qin was fine. He had used his soul power to check Long Qin's body, but there was nothing controlling him. This meant that King Zhong's thoughts were all on him, and he didn't have the mood to care about Long Qin. This was for the best. Long Qin, I'll leave that trash Prince Tian to you. Is that okay? Ling Xiao secretly transmitted. Don't worry, boss. I've been waiting for this day. That grandson actually dared to treat me like a pet. I'll beat him up so badly that even his mother won't recognize him. Long Qin had been holding it in for a long time. Finally, he could vent it all out today. He was overjoyed. Idiot, what are you laughing at? Suddenly, Prince Tian's voice rang out, probably because he saw Ling Xiao's smug smile. Nothing. I just feel that some idiots are going to suffer today. Ling Xiao said with a smile. You're talking about yourself, right? I really hope you can defeat the Dragon Shark King. Otherwise, it'll be boring. Perhaps it was because of his breakthrough in cultivation. Prince Tian appeared to be very confident. Chapter 3467. Let's not waste words. Let's have the 2 contestants fight. The female martial artist by the token owner's side declared. The stage had long been set up. It was made of special materials that made it difficult for even rebirthed divine realm martial artists to completely destroy. Even if there were cracks or parts of it, it could be repaired in time. Feng Fei and Cold Plum stepped onto the stage at the same time. Both women were valiant and formidable. Feng Fei was calm and unruffled, while Cold Plum was as cold as frost. Whether it was appearance or figure, both of them were outstanding. Many of the spectators in Fiend God City cheered as well. Many of them didn't care about the results of the fight, but were more interested in how the two beauties fought. Does anyone admit defeat? The female martial artist asked. Cold Plum and Feng Fei both shook their heads. Neither of them had any intentions of admitting defeat. All right, since that's the case, let's fight. No need to be polite. Do your best to show off your skills. Let the world witness your strength. The female martial artist's words were insincere. How strong could the martial artists of the Western regions be? She felt a little disdainful. Who do you think will win? The people of the four major forces were all arranged together, so it was very easy to communicate. The Alliance of Vengeance, Celestial Emperor Dynasty, and Myriad Kingdom Alliance seemed ready to unite against a common enemy and isolate Seoul Hall. It was the Celestial King who asked the question. Naturally, it's Feng Fei. Linglong Palace's palace master said coldly, "It's not that I'm shielding my own people, but Feng Fei has Fairy Linglong's legacy. Moreover, he obtained her devil spirit in the world of the dead. That little girl of unknown origins is no match for her." That makes sense. The Eight Immortals Nation is just a small faction that used to belong to the Celestial Emperor Dynasty. Ling Xiao is an exception. No one else can be as strong as him. The Celestial King nodded as well. Everyone else had the same thoughts. After all, Feng Fei had already displayed her strength by defeating a second-level rebirth divine realm martial artist in the world of the dead. Just this point alone was enough to make people look forward to her. You old fellows really have poor eyesight. Do you believe that my Cold Plum can make Feng Fei roll off the stage in 3 moves? Ling Xiao looked at the old men provocatively. In any case, everyone didn't like each other, so it didn't matter if their words were harsh. Bullshit. The palace master of Linglong Palace was displeased. However, at this moment, a person suddenly fell from the stage and fell to the ground. The entire place fell into a dead silence. Is it over? Almost no one had the time to pay attention to the battle, and it was already over? It was Feng Fei who had fallen to the ground. One move. Just one move. Ling Xiao had underestimated Cold Plum, who had fused with the butterfly lady. This was simply ridiculously strong. Can you announce it now? Cold Plum looked at the female warrior who was still in a daze and said coldly, "How did you do it?" The female warrior could not help but ask, "This question doesn't need to be answered, right?" Cold Plum said coldly. She seemed to only reveal a smile in front of Ling Xiao. "No need. Cold Plum wins this battle." The owner of the Celestial Devil Token announced himself. Right now, he was filled with interest towards Cold Plum. That girl is a bit strange. Shifeng, remember this. You can kill Ling Xiao, but you have to leave this girl behind. She's useful to me. The owner of the Celestial Devil Token said to Shifeng, the head of the Blood Axe Snake clan. This subordinate obeys. Shifeng nodded. He didn't find anything strange about Cold Plum. But since the owner of the Celestial Devil Token said so, then something must be wrong. Next match, the female warrior announced. The Linglong Saintess and Darkfrost were already standing on the stage. The crowd seemed to have yet to recover from the previous battle. That woman called Cold Plum is probably the strongest in the Eight Immortals country. She's even scarier than Ling Xiao. That's right. I didn't even see how she attacked. Feng Fei stood up from the ground, his expression full of helplessness. She thought that she could surpass Ling Xiao after reincarnating. But now, She couldn't even deal with a girl by Ling Zhao's side. What a joke. Trash. You have Fairy Linglong's inheritance for nothing. You're useless. Tian Hai Tyranny looked at Feng Fei with disdain. Don't talk about me first. Ling Zhao's subordinates aren't as simple as you think. If you underestimate them, you'll end up worse off than me. Feng Fei said, simply before returning to Linglong Palace's ranks. But Tyranny Heavenly Ocean disdained her words. You're just looking for excuses after losing. How useless. He didn't believe that Ling Zhao's subordinates could be strong. It was abnormal enough that there was a heaven-defying monster like Ling Xiao in this world. If there were more monsters like Ling Xiao, it would be crazy. While they were talking, the battle between Dark Frost and Linglong Saintess had already begun. Although I know I can't win, I still have to try. Linglong Saintess didn't want to admit defeat so easily. She wanted to test her strength. I won't kill you because you helped Ling Xiao, but I must win this battle. Dark Frost shouted coldly as a terrifying spiritual power burst out. A pair of ghost hands appeared in the air and slapped Linglong Saintess out of the arena. The gap was too big. You're indeed the Hall Master of Soul Hall. I'm not as good as you. Linglong Saintess was a little sad. She wasn't weak, but she met a strong opponent like Dark Frost. She could only be eliminated. Dark Frost wins. Next match. The female warrior was straightforward this time, because she wasn't as surprised as last time. After all, Dark Frost was the Hall Master of Soul Hall. Her strength was widely known. Ling Xiao, I'll kill your bird first, and then wait for you. Let's settle our past grudges in this arena. Tyranny Heavenly Ocean rushed onto the stage and roared at soaring heavens. Loser, you don't have the qualification to fight with me. Little Gold, kill him. Ling Xiao raised his hand. A golden light rushed to the arena. Little Gold's body grew in the wind and turned into a giant golden crow. The terrifying aura finally made Tian Hai Tyranny get serious. Boss asked me to kill you. It seems like he's not happy with you. Then I can only kill you. It's a waste to give the Flame Emperor's inheritance to you. It's better for me to use it. Little Gold spoke human language. Only then did everyone realize that this was definitely not an ordinary bird. Shameless boasting. Fire God's domain. Tian Hai Tyranny released Fire God's domain as soon as he came up. The entire arena turned into a sea of fire. The terrifying flames burned the arena until it began to melt. If it was any other opponent, they wouldn't be able to resist this terrifying Fire God's domain. But Tian Hai Tyranny was too unlucky. He just had to meet Little Gold. Xiao Jin was crazy about things that contained heat. Chapter 3468. Xiao Jin opened his mouth and sucked, swallowing all the flames. It's delicious. Do you want some more? He looked at Tyranny Heavenly Ocean with disdain, as if looking at an idiot. What's going on? That bird is a bit strange. Devouring Demon Fetus and Golden Crow, Remnant Soul. There's actually such a strange combination in this world. The owner of the divine devil token muttered to himself. What's the background of this Ling Xiao? One is Lung Mei, the other is Xiao Jin. Both of them are so special that people are very interested in them. Fire God Spear. Tyranny Heavenly Ocean took out the most powerful weapon from the Flame Emperor inheritance. They wanted to use this weapon to kill Xiao Jin. However, Xiao Jin still didn't refuse. He swallowed the Fire God Spear. This tastes even better. Xiao Jin was very excited. Although he wanted to immediately go into seclusion to cultivate, there were still battles to be fought, so he gave up for now. It wouldn't be too late to cultivate after finishing the Divine Devil Invitational. Xiao Jin, don't waste time. That guy might escape. Ling Xiao reminded. Got it, boss. It's time to let him have a taste of my power. Xiao Jin cried out, releasing the 9 underworld yellow springs golden light from his mouth. As he grew stronger, the power of the 9 underworld yellow springs golden light increased with each passing day. In an instant, it enveloped Tyranny Heavenly Ocean. the domineering tyranny heavenly ocean just now. Without the fire god's domain and fire god's spear, they couldn't block this terrifying golden light. They were instantly melted, turning into a pool of blood. Shout, Jean, victory! The female warrior was stunned once again. What was this? 2 of the 3 warriors from the 8 Immortals country were so strong, and these 2 were only Ling Xiao's subordinates. Were they really warriors from the western regions? Weren't they warriors from Divine Devil City? Thank you for the Flame Emperor inheritance. I will enjoy it. Xiao Jin turned into a golden light and entered Ling Xiao's beast ring. This scene made countless people envious, jealous, and hateful. Young man, why don't you give me your devouring golden crow? I can guarantee that you will leave the Divine Devil City alive. The owner of the fiend god token felt an unbearable itch. Xiao Jin's appearance made him feel greedy. There's no need for Senior to worry. I know how to preserve my own things. Ling Xiao looked at the owner of the fiend god token with disdain in his eyes. If you want something that belongs to me, just say it. Why are you being so hypocritical? Did he think that he was a 3-year-old child? Even if you don't give it to me now, it will be mine sooner or later. The owner of the fiend god token looked at Ling Xiao with disdain. Although this kid was indeed a genius and a monster, he was still not worth mentioning in his eyes. Let's continue. He waved his hand and said no more. Next group. The female warrior beside him shouted. This time, Long Chen ascended the arena first. Prince Tian did not go up. Get lost. Quickly admit defeat. He glanced at Long Chen and shouted as if he was scolding his pet. However, Long Chen stood there and did not move. Prince Tian frowned. Quickly get down. Come up. I've endured for a long time for today's battle. You guys tried your best to control me and make me work for you. But I'm afraid you don't know, right? In my heart, there's only Boss Ling Xiao. Long Chen looked at Prince Tian with hatred and disdain in his eyes. Get up. Let me teach you how to be a person. Stunned. Prince Tian was stunned. Everyone in the Heavenly Emperor dynasty was stunned. They originally thought that this was a battle that could not be fought at all. Who knew that there would be such a reversal? Ha 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 ha, Prince of Heaven? Bullshit. Ling Xiao laughed crazily. Back then, you bullied me because I was just a nobody. You tried to snatch my friend away. Today, it's your retribution. Long Chen, no need to be polite. Kill him, and let everyone know your anger. Know my anger. You. Prince of Heaven was so angry that his face turned green. At this moment, he felt like a fool who had been played by others. He had painstakingly spent a large amount of resources to nurture Long Chen, and even let Long Chen obtain the Dragon Emperor's inheritance. In the end, it was actually a wedding dress for others. What about us? Ling Xiao sneered. You pair of shameless bastards. Prince of Heaven roared. We're shameless. You, Prince Tian, relied on your strength to snatch other people's friends. Isn't this called shameless? In order to survive, we played a little trick. This is called shameless? I think it's just you who's stupid. No, your Heavenly Emperor dynasty is full of idiots from top to bottom. Stupid beyond compare. Ling Xiao had also been holding back for a long time. Today, after everything was announced, he felt much more comfortable in his heart. In the past, there were many people who mocked him because of this matter. He couldn't even protect his own friends. But now, those people who mocked him shut their mouths one by one, dumbfounded. Are you guys going to fight or not? The female martial artist was a little impatient. Let's throw your grudges to the future. Now it's the God and Devil Invitation Tournament. Fight. Why not fight? I must let this bastard know the consequences of betraying me. Prince Tian was furious, completely furious. Being played like a monkey, he had lost all his face today. If he couldn't kill Long Chen, if he couldn't kill Ling Xiao, he wouldn't have the face to see others in the future. Not only him, but even the Heavenly Emperor dynasty would be disgraced. He jumped onto the stage and looked coldly at Long Chen. You will pay the price for your stupidity and betrayal. Prince of Heaven roared. You don't have to be so loud. This battle isn't won by whoever has the loudest voice. Long Chen appeared very calm, as if everything was under his control. All right, since that's the case, go to hell. Prince of Heaven directly released the Sky Sword Emperor's inheritance. He started fighting with Long Chen. On one side was the Sky Sword Emperor. On the other side was the Dragon Emperor. The strength of the two could be said to be evenly matched. On the stage, everyone could only see two balls of light constantly flickering. Many people with poor eyesight couldn't even see where the two of them were. A full half an hour passed. The two of them had fought for more than 1,000 rounds. How long will this battle last? Do Hun couldn't help but ask. Soon, it's going to end soon. Ling Zhao's Tai Chi eye carefully captured all the details of the battle. He had to admit that Prince of Heaven was very powerful. But Long Chen had an additional characteristic, and that was the dragon race. A real giant dragon. It wasn't a bloodline. Roar! Just as Ling Xiao finished speaking, a roar suddenly came from the stage. Everyone finally saw the two figures that had stopped. A giant dragon stood on the stage, and its huge tail smashed towards Prince of Heaven. Prince of Heaven tried his best to block, but he was still sent flying. Just as he was about to fall out of the stage, the tail actually swept over and brought Prince of Heaven back onto the stage. Chapter 3469. I won't let you be eliminated so easily. I want you dead. Long Chen's voice was incomparably cold. During this period of time, although he did not suffer any physical torture, he suffered a lot of mental humiliation. He did not tell Ling Xiao, because he was afraid that Ling Xiao would be worried. And today he wanted to vent all the humiliation he had suffered on his opponent. No, I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Let me go, I was just confused for a moment. Prince Tian was wrapped around by that huge tail and was unable to break free. He shouted at Long Chen in horror. Let you go? Do you think that the things you have done are worth me letting you go? Long Chen smiled coldly and began to exert force with his huge tail. People could even hear the sound of Prince Tian's bones breaking. Let him go. In the audience, the Heavenly King could not bear it anymore. He rushed towards the ring, wanting to save his son. However, the one blocking him was the subordinate of the God Devil Order's owner, the female martial artist who was much stronger than him. She sent him flying back with a palm. The rules of the God Devil Invitational Tournament are sacred and inviolable. The female martial artist looked at the Heavenly King coldly. Then a bang sounds heard. Fresh blood splattered on the stage. Long Chen crushed the Heavenly Prince alive. Even though he had also suffered serious injuries, he had still won the battle. He took revenge for himself and also gained face for the 8 Immortals' kingdom. He returned to his human form and jumped off the stage and walked to Ling Zhao's side. Ling Xiao took out a pill and fed it to him. He then sat there and began to heal his injuries. The God Devil Order's owner's greed came back again, devouring Golden Crow, Giant Dragon's descendant, mysterious woman. Where did this Ling Xiao come from? Could he be the person in the prophecy who can end the Eternal Life Palace's rule? For the first time, the God Devil Order's owner felt an inexplicable fear towards Ling Xiao, although he could kill him with one finger. But why did he feel so much pressure from that young man? No, impossible. A prophecy is just a prophecy. It can't be true. The God Devil Order's owner shook his head and felt that he was thinking too much. Perhaps reality wasn't that bad after all. Ling Xiao, Long Chen, our celestial dynasty definitely won't let you off. Definitely. The Heavenly King was injured by the female martial warriors, but his anger did not subside because of this. Long Chen had killed his only son. That was also the future hope of the Heavenly Emperor dynasty. Prince Tian, who possessed the inheritance of the Sky Sword Emperor, could have become the #1 powerful being in the West region. Now he had become a corpse. No, It was a piece of junk that couldn't even be considered corpse. Long Chen had killed him, but this plan had been devised by Ling Xiao. Naturally, he hated both of them. Why are you shouting so loudly? I can hear you. Ling Xiao glanced at Heavenly King and said, What's there to be angry about? Aren't you the one who brought all of this upon yourself? Your son snatched Long Chen. You even led the Heavenly King dynasty's army to the Green Zone in an attempt to kill me and steal the Ice Emperor's legacy. I've already warned you that offending me won't end well. The nightmare of your Heavenly Emperor dynasty is not over yet. This is merely just the beginning. Let dead things die thoroughly. Your Heavenly Emperor dynasty doesn't need to continue existing anymore. What an overbearing youth. What a terrifying guy. This kid is too terrifying. The Heavenly King Gate racked their brains to completely destroy the Heavenly Emperor dynasty, but failed to do so. But this kid killed Prince Tian so easily, severing the future of the Heavenly Emperor dynasty. This guy is really not to be trifled with. Everyone had this thought virtually at the same time. Many people who hated or envied Ling Xiao somewhat worshipped this powerful youth at this time. I didn't expect that the West region actually had such a character too. This simply doesn't lose to the ancient Sword Emperor back then. Sure, the ancient Sword Emperor is a taboo. Make sure not to mention it. Right. Almost forgot. It was the ancient Sword Emperor who annihilated City, Lord's father, right? That time, Divine Devil City was almost destroyed. That was also the greatest crisis in Divine Devil City's history. This Ling Xiao is formidable, but his strength is far inferior compared to the ancient Sword Emperor back then. So he shouldn't be able to stir up any waves. Otherwise, the City Lord would have already annihilated him. While everyone was discussing, Dragon Shark King had already walked onto the stage. Ling Xiao, get on the stage. What's the point of talking so much nonsense? Your subordinate's performance is outstanding, but you might not. Loser, do you have the qualifications to make irresponsible remarks to me? Ling Xiao slowly walked onto the stage and looked at Dragon Shark King contemptuously. I know that after that failure, you learned from your mistakes. Not only did you have a breakthrough in your cultivation base, but you also obtained the 7-star Combat Emperor's inheritance. But do you think I won't become stronger? You're just a small fry after all. You don't understand how powerful the resources of a big force are. I want magic treasures. I have magic treasures. I want resources. I have resources. How can you fight with me? From the beginning, you can't win against me. Dragon Shark King said disdainfully, No magic treasures, no resources, but enemies give them to me. Your myriad states has a lot of good things. I have received the Ice General's inheritance and the Ice Emperor's inheritance. I wonder what good things you'll give me this time. Ling Xiao said with a smile. While speaking, he took the lead to enter the Vajra Ape Beast Soul transformation. After learning that Dragon Shark King cultivated the 7-star combat body, he could roughly guess the opponent's fighting style, since they were going to fight head-on. The Vajra Ape Beast Soul transformation was naturally the most suitable. Moreover, after obtaining the White Ape's upgrade, the grade of the Vajra Ape Beast Soul had become higher. The power of the Vajra Unbreakable skill had also increased. Isn't it the unbounded Heavenly Rat Beast Soul transformation? In order to defeat Ling Xiao, Dragon Shark King had studied Ling Xiao's fighting style. He knew a lot about Ling Xiao's situation like the back of his hand. I don't need it to deal with you. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Shameless boasting. Dragon Shark King shouted coldly. In the end, the era of the Beast God has long passed. Now is the era of the Eternal Palace. You belong to the backward things and should be eliminated by history. The 4 major regions are the Golden Heavenly Region, Eternal Emperor Region, Savage Beast Region, and Deep Sea Dragon Region. In the Golden Heavenly Region, all martial artists with weapon martial spirits have unleashed their weapon martial spirits to the extreme. In the Eternal Emperor Region, All martial artists with nature-type martial spirits have unleashed their full potential in this aspect. The savage beast region is the territory that truly belongs to the beast race. The true beast race is 100 times stronger than you beast martial artists. The deep sea dragon region is the place where the experts of the sea race reside. No matter which of the 4 major regions, there is no place for beast martial artists. The era of the 12 beast gods has long been annihilated in history, mercilessly crushed by the wheels of history. You really know how to talk. The human king also belongs to history. Do you dare to say that he isn't strong? Ling Xiao looked at Dragon Shark King sarcastically and said, "Those who don't understand the profoundness of beast martial artists can only follow the crowd." How pitiful. Chapter 3470. What a glib tongue. Are you worthy of being compared to a human king? The Dragon Shark King said angrily, "Nonsense. A human king is also a human. Why can't I be compared?" Ling Xiao laughed. All right. You arrogant brat. Today, I'll let you know what it means to boast shamelessly. The Dragon Shark King was no longer prepared to speak, because he realized that his ability to speak was no match for Ling Xiao's. If he spoke too much, he would embarrass himself and make it seem as if he had no ambition. His aura suddenly erupted as his feet trembled. His figure flashed as he charged toward Ling Xiao. Go to hell. The Dragon Shark King was like a ferocious beast in the sea as he tore through the silent void. His voice was like thunder, causing the ears of the spectators to ring. Facing Ling Xiao, the Dragon Shark King only unleashed his martial soul, and a huge dragon shark phantom appeared behind him. His strength skyrocketed at that moment. Then he activated the 7 stars battle body of the 7 stars battle emperor inheritance. Starlight flickered on his body as if he was a star in the sky. He stepped on the strange 7 stars Big Dipper steps as his figure flickered on the arena. Every time he appeared, he was in a different position, making it difficult to figure out. Although the 7 stars battle emperor inheritance doesn't have a domain, it has a powerful 7 stars battle body, and it's a mid-level king battle body. Can you block my attack? The Dragon Shark King didn't use any offensive moves. His terrifying power was almost completely poured into the 7 stars battle body. He was like a star as he charged toward Ling Xiao. Is the 7 stars battle body very powerful? Ling Xiao showed some disdain. He activated his true essence, and a faint layer of yellow light quickly appeared on his body. The phantom of a black tortoise wrapped around his body, with the invincible Vajra body and the black tortoise divine body. His defense was even stronger than the Dragon Shark King's. Of course it's powerful. In order to train the 7 stars battle body, I suffered great pain and torture in extreme cold, snowstorm, and other natural disasters. In the end, I succeeded in forging it. You don't know my hard work and achievements. Mother said that my 7 stars battle body is the strongest body in the western region. Dragon Shark King roared. Your mother is a frog at the bottom of a well. What does she know? If she knew everything, she wouldn't be stupid enough to make me her enemy. Although he said so, Ling Xiao had to admit it. The Dragon Shark King was simply a martial arts maniac. In order to cultivate the 7-star battle body, he had accepted the baptism and tempering of the natural disasters in the 10th district of the archaic divine tomb. This kind of thing was absolutely not something that everyone could do. However, it was a pity that no matter how crazy the Dragon Shark King was, he was still not as crazy as him. Not to mention the natural disasters in the 10th district. He even used all the monsters in the 10th district as his training partners. His king-level black tortoise divine body had been honed through life and death battles. In terms of pure physical strength, he would not lose to anyone. Facing the Dragon Shark King's brazen attack, Ling Xiao took a step forward with his right foot. He didn't dodge or evade and directly punched forward. Golden and earthy yellow light enveloped his fists. It collided with the Dragon Shark King's attack. It was as terrifying as a comet crashing into Earth. The entire arena was lifted by a layer. Debris flew everywhere. The earth shook and thunder rumbled. The two of them were in a stalemate in the arena, but those standing near the arena suffered because the strong wind blew so hard that they couldn't open their eyes. The frenzied energy storm even blew away some of the weaker martial artists. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of Ling Xiao's mouth. However, he didn't retreat an inch. In comparison, the Dragon Shark King had obviously suffered a great loss. He was directly blasted away, and his body staggered before he finally stood firm. Then he spat out a mouthful of old blood, dyeing the arena red. Not only that, but the starlight all over his body had obviously dimmed a lot, as if he had consumed too much energy and couldn't maintain the 7-star battle body. Everyone looked at this scene in surprise, dumbfounded. The Dragon Shark King stood there with a look of shock in his eyes. He didn't believe that his 7-star battle body would lose to Ling Xiao in a physical battle. No one had ever told him about this. Impossible! How can my 7-star battle body lose? The Dragon Shark King roared. Are you an idiot? Naturally, it's because I have a stronger physical body than you. I've said it before. You're an idiot if you listen to your mother. Because of your strength, she never put the world in her eyes, which made her a frog at the bottom of a well. Listening to her will kill you. Ling Xiao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. It was only a slight pain that could be recovered in a moment. He believed that the Dragon Shark King's injury wasn't serious. After all, the 7-star battle body wasn't just for show. Therefore, this battle would probably continue. What kind of defensive technique did that kid cultivate? How could his physical body be so terrifying? Seeing the Dragon Shark King being repelled and vomiting blood, anyone with a little eyesight understood that the Dragon Shark King had lost in this head-on collision. Damn Ling Xiao, he actually had such a hidden technique. The martial artists of the myriad countries gritted their teeth. The 7-star battle body was a very powerful part of the inheritance of the 7-star battle body. Now that even the 7-star battle body had lost to Ling Xiao, did the Dragon Shark King really have a chance? They looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of jealousy and anger. How could a small 8 immortal country martial artist ride on their heads? This should be Ling Xiao's trump card, and also his most powerful aspect. Now that he has used his trump card, how can he fight with Big Brother? You know, Big Brother still has a lot of skills. The martial artists of the myriad countries were quite unconvinced and subjectively believed that the powerful physical body was Ling Xiao's strongest trump card. There was no other way. If this wasn't Ling Xiao's trump card, then Ling Xiao was a bit too terrifying. Dragon Shark, calm down. Your ability is not just your physical body. Don't forget, your cultivation is still stronger than his. With Mo Ling, you can still suppress him. Dragon Mother looked at the arena and said sternly, the Dragon Shark King was the only chance for the myriad countries to enter the ancient sword imperial mausoleum. If the Dragon Shark King was defeated, then the myriad countries would completely lose the opportunity to compete for the inheritance of the ancient sword emperor. For them, this was a very depressing matter. Got it, Mom. The Dragon Shark King took a deep breath and calmed his mood. Then he swallowed a medicinal pill. His injuries healed instantly. See, Ling Xiao, this is the advantage of a big force. I have such a magical medicinal pill, but you don't. So you will lose this battle. The Dragon Shark King's confidence returned. Anyway, it was just that his physical body was slightly inferior, so there was nothing to worry about. This is unfair. Isn't it against the rules to use medicinal pills? Do Hun couldn't help but shout. It's not against the rules. The God Devil token owner said indifferently, possessing medicinal pills is also a kind of strength. What he wanted was someone who could seize the inheritance of the ancient sword imperial mausoleum, and medicinal pills were also an advantage in entering the ancient sword imperial mausoleum. Chapter 3471. Ha 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 ha. That kid Ling Xiao is finished. Brother Dragon Shark has a lot of medicinal pills that we collected. If we can end the battle in a short time, that Ling Xiao will be the first to run out of true essence and lose. The martial artists of Myriad Nation once again became complacent because they felt that a martial artist from a small place, it was impossible for him to have so many medicinal pills. Again, I want to see how much ability you have. After Dragon Shark King recovered from his injuries, he once again attacked Ling Xiao. His entire body seemed to have turned into a water dragon as explosive energy emerged from his body. This time he did not intend to meet force with Ling Xiao, because he lost the 7-star battle body, which means that he is inferior to Ling Xiao in terms of physical strength. If he still chose to meet force with force, then there must be something wrong with his brain. This time he chose to use martial skills. Myriad Nation's martial skills are as vast as smoke. You, a small 8 immortal country martial artist, probably can't imagine it. Although in terms of physical strength, I am not your opponent. But in terms of martial skills, you are definitely not my opponent. Raging waves, water dragon roar. Amidst the roar, the water dragon became bigger and wrapped the entire body of Dragon Shark King. It was like a flood dragon flying out of the deep sea. Low king level martial skills might not even exist in those small forces, but in Myriad Nation there are many. Dragon Shark King's aptitude is extremely outstanding. His mastery of each martial skill has almost reached perfection. Several of his martial skills have even reached perfection. He was much older than Ling Xiao and was already in his 30s at the first transition. He is almost twice as old as Ling Xiao and has spent much more time honing his martial skills than Ling Xiao. Therefore, he is very confident in his martial skills. Unlike the 7-star battle Emperor's inheritance, which he had just obtained not long ago. Of course, he did not know how terrifying the speed of Ling Xiao's martial skills is. Even if he is only 17 years old, it only takes him a few days to comprehend and cultivate each set of martial skills to perfection. The crux of the matter was that the speed at which his martial skills improved in battle far exceeded that of others. You keep saying that I'm from a small country, but I don't know as much about martial arts as you do? Truly a frog at the bottom of a well. To think that I overestimated you. Since you lost to me in terms of physical strength, you should know that I can't be underestimated. But you're still so arrogant. I'll let you see how my martial skills are like. Seeing that water dragon galloping over, it was incomparably ferocious. If it were an ordinary heaven-seizing, fate-changing realm martial artist, they might really not be able to withstand it. He could only rely on the advantage of his movement technique to dodge. But Ling Xiao was different. He had absolute confidence that he could block this attack and even destroy it. Whether it was the Dragon Shark King or Prince Tian, they were no match for him. The real enemy he wanted to deal with was the owner of the God Devil token. He needed more power. We can't waste time on this boring battle. His body suddenly entered the everlasting heavenly rat beast soul transformation state. The terrifying aura began to roar. The Ice Emperor's demonic spirit released power in his body. It temporarily raised his strength to the 2nd level of the reincarnation divine realm. It was only 1 level lower than the current Dragon Shark King. The Dragon Shark King also relied on the 7-star combat Emperor's demonic spirit to possess the strength of the 3rd level of the reincarnation divine realm. The Ice Supreme sword appeared. A terrifying cold aura began to condense in the air. With a flash of sword light, it pierced through the western region map of the divine tomb and flew out. The air instantly became much colder. The martial artists near the arena felt the chill that came from the world of ice and snow. Ice Supreme Sword Art. The resplendent ice sword bloomed with endless light in the void. Whether it was in terms of aura or power, it was obviously stronger than the water dragon roar of the Dragon Shark King. The water dragon and ice sword collided in the air. At that moment, the water flow was gradually frozen. The coldness in the air became even more serious. There was no explosion. Only the water dragon was engulfed by the cold. Retreat! The Dragon Shark King was shocked to find that his martial skills were completely suppressed. His body began to freeze. He had no choice but to escape. He fled into the distance. Kill! Ling Xiao did not give him a chance to escape. The Ice Supreme sword turned into a cold light and stabbed forward. It instantly penetrated the body of the Dragon Shark King. The Dragon Shark King was almost sent flying out of the arena. This proud martial artist actually chose to transform at that moment. He changed back to his original body, a huge dragon shark. Around his body, a huge stream of water formed. Then the water flow flooded the entire arena, wrapping Ling Xiao inside. At the same time, he swallowed another healing pill. The stab wound began to heal slowly. He actually lost again. His physical strength is not as good as Ling Xiao's. His martial skills can't suppress Ling Xiao. Is the Dragon Shark King really going to lose? The people of Myriad Land began to worry, and the Dragon Shark King himself also felt a little embarrassed. The things he was proud of had become meaningless in front of Ling Xiao. They were all destroyed. His strong self-confidence also began to be gradually destroyed. There was a strong sense of frustration. How could this be? How could this be? That Ling Xiao, how can he be so powerful? What kind of monster is that guy? Everyone was shocked. The dark red wound became the shame of the Dragon Shark King, making the faces of the martial artists of Myriad Land burn. In the two duels, he did not gain the slightest advantage. Don't be afraid, my sea creature clan martial artist will change back to his original body, and his combat power will be greatly improved. And he can also use martial skills at the same time. Don't forget, the Dragon Shark King still has a stronger martial skill. That Ling Xiao will never be able to suppress him again. Dragon Mother seemed to be relatively calm, especially after seeing the Dragon Shark King transform. She was even more confident. Hearing her words, everyone in Myriad Land breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, they became excited again. They didn't want to see Ling Xiao being arrogant again. Ling Xiao still looked at the Dragon Shark King indifferently and said indifferently, "Admit defeat. If we continue to fight, I can't control my strength. At that time, it will be a pity if you die. To be honest, I am still very optimistic about you. You dare to look down on me?" The Dragon Shark King's eyes became blood red. Those were no longer human eyes, but the eyes of a fierce beast. There was a fierce and terrifying look in his eyes. Looking down on you? Maybe you are not qualified to be my opponent at all. Ling Xiao said indifferently. You are too arrogant, Ling Xiao. Do you know that my sea race martial artist's combat power can be doubled in the water? Moreover, I still have the most powerful king-level martial skill that I have not used. You are not my opponent at all. The Dragon Shark King roared and pounced on Ling Xiao again. Ling Xiao shook his head gently. In the water, he has the canopied beast soul, which can also double his combat power. Unfortunately, the Dragon Shark King did not know. Chapter 3472. Giant Wave or Deep Sea Giant Beast. Amidst the roar, Dragon Shark King displayed his most powerful martial skill. Middle Grade King level martial skill was also the most powerful martial skill of the 4 major forces of the Western region. The most powerful martial skill. The originally calm void was filled with a large amount of seawater. It was like overturning rivers and seas. A terrifying giant beast jumped out of the waves and then swallowed Ling Xiao. Middle Grade King level martial skill? Do you think I don't have it? Ling Xiao mocked. Soul's secret method, whale hunting lightning spear. This move is just right for capturing a giant beast like you. The soul-devouring domain was released, and a huge lightning spear pierced through the void. It crazily plunged into the body of the giant beast. Thunder raged. The deep-sea giant beast churned. It howled miserably. A moment later, it completely collapsed. Dragon Shark King was thrown out again, and he was already bruised all over. He had to use medicinal pills to recover. What's going on? Mom, didn't you say that Brother Dragon Shark can't be defeated? How could this be? Everyone from Myriad Land was worried. I didn't expect that Soul Hall would be so willing to teach their most powerful soul secret method to this kid. They even let him comprehend the soul-devouring domain. Damn it. Dragon Mother's face was very ugly. At this time, there was no doubt about Ling Xiao's strength. Even if she didn't admit it, it was useless. I won't lose, Mom. A moment later, Dragon Shark King's body recovered again. He took a deep breath, said a sentence to Dragon Mother, and then looked at Ling Xiao and said, I admit that your attack power is indeed powerful. Your martial skill is also terrifying. But I have mastered at least 1,000 primary king level martial skills and at least 10 intermediate king level martial skills. Once used together, even if the power is not as good as yours, it can catch you off guard. I was too impulsive just now and was controlled by your provocation, so I did that stupid thing. I won't do it again. Dragon Shark King once again returned to his human appearance, and he pulled out the 7-star treasure blade. This was the most powerful weapon in the 7-star War Emperor inheritance, and it did not lose to Ice Age at all. You better take out Ice Age now, otherwise you won't be able to withstand the next attack. The Dragon Shark King looked coldly at Ling Xiao and said, I will decide whether to use Ice Age or not. I don't need you to give me orders. Make your move. I'm waiting for you to use this 7-star treasured saber. Ling Xiao hoped that the Dragon Shark King would become stronger. Only when the Dragon Shark King was stronger would he be able to break through. Originally, he wanted to end this battle as soon as possible, but now it seemed that there was a need to continue. 7 stars dipper steps, formless flowing water. Ling Xiao knew about the 7 stars big dipper steps. It was the movement technique of the 7 stars combat emperor's inheritance. Primary king level movement technique. As for the formless flowing water, it was an auxiliary secret technique that was not inferior to the 7 stars dipper steps. This allowed the Dragon Shark King to disappear into the water and then suddenly reappear. This made his attacks unpredictable and impossible to guard against, because every attack would suddenly be released from the water. It was impossible to predict when it would be released and where it would be released. The difficulty of resisting it had become extremely high. Before figuring out the situation of the formless flowing water, Ling Xiao chose to evade. Extreme cold domain, blizzard ice ceiling steps. Ling Xiao was not afraid of a head-on collision. Ling Xiao was also not afraid of strange attacks. Under the extreme cold domain, the water would be frozen. Under the blizzard ice ceiling steps, Ling Xiao could easily avoid the Dragon Shark King's attacks. Almost every attack of the Dragon Shark King landed in the air. Otherwise, it would be directly frozen and fail. That guy is too cunning, relying on the Ice Emperor's inheritance. He fled here and there like a mouse. Damn it, cowardly guy. If you have the ability, fight to the death. You're not a man. This kid's nature is cunning. Who knows what kind of shady business he did when he obtained the Ice General's inheritance and the Ice Emperor's inheritance. A bunch of idiots. Since the movement technique is so useless, what are you learning? From your words, I can only feel jealousy and envy. Do Hun couldn't help but curse. Wan Guo's group of grandsons were too stupid, saying that at this time was really a disgrace to Wan Guo. Even so, if you keep dodging, I'm afraid this battle will never end, right? Koi King said coldly. This is tantamount to a war of attrition. Whoever exhausts their true essence first, whoever makes a mistake first, will lose. Dragon Mother said, Don't worry, the final winner will be Dragon Shark. He still has a lot of medicinal pills. Although it can't completely restore his true essence, it can increase the usage time of his true essence. Ling Xiao, are you going to keep dodging like this? Where did your courage go? Dragon Shark King roared. You don't have to provoke me. If this continues, the first one to lose will be you. Do you think you're the only one with medicinal pills? My medicinal pills are better than yours. As Ling Xiao dodged, he took out a medicinal pill and purposely displayed it in front of everyone. When the medicinal pill was displayed, it emitted a charming medicinal fragrance. Countless martial artists' faces changed when they heard it. It's actually a perfect level reincarnation restoration pill. Dragon Shark King's medicinal pill is simply trash compared to his. Where did this kid get such a good medicinal pill? Everyone was shocked, including the owner of the God Devil Order. How many secrets does this Ling Xiao have? How many good things do he have? Such a good medicinal pill, there should only be one. Dragon Mother frowned. The corner of her mouth twitched and said, as if to deliberately slap her face, Ling Xiao actually took out another medicinal pill that was exactly the same as the previous one. Then he put it back. Old woman, I've already said that you're just a frog at the bottom of a well. You don't know anything, but you like to pretend to know everything. It's ridiculous. Ling Xiao laughed mockingly. He was not afraid of treasuring a jade ring at all, because in today's battle, he would use both of these medicinal pills. Others didn't know how many of the same medicinal pills he had in his storage ring. They probably didn't believe that there would be many. 7-star battle light. Suddenly, Dragon Shark King roared, and the 7-star treasure saber in his hand suddenly stabbed forward. An extremely sharp saber light broke through the air. It actually pierced through the ice created by the extreme cold domain and stabbed toward Ling Xiao's throat. This 7-star battle light was a killing move that Dragon Shark King comprehended from the 7-star treasure saber. It was a mid-level king level battle skill. Not only was it powerful, but it was also extremely fast. Dragon Shark King originally didn't want to use this move to deal with Ling Xiao because he felt that his opponent should be King Zhong, or even Dark Frost. Ling Xiao was just a stepping stone. But after attacking for a long time, he was unable to hurt Ling Xiao at all. Instead, he was badly injured by Ling Xiao. This made him completely angry. As a result, this trump card was finally used. One had to admit that this move was fast. It was shockingly fast. And the most terrifying thing was that it could even ignore the freezing effect of the extreme cold domain and blizzard ice ceiling step. Chapter 3473. As expected, it's not easy to deal with. At the critical moment, Ling Xiao had no choice but to use the vertical golden light technique to dodge the 7-star battle radiance. However, the 7-star battle radiance cut off a strand of his hair. It left a trace of blood on his ear. Anyone could see that the 7-star battle radiance of the Dragon Shark King was really overbearing. If Ling Xiao did not have the vertical golden light technique, it would really be a bit difficult. Even if he did not die, he would probably be seriously injured. Of course, he had life backtrack and was not afraid of dying once. However, he would always expose his trump card, and that was not what he wanted. He touched the blood on his ear. Ling Xiao suddenly smiled. Interesting, continue. The slight injury did not affect him much. He no longer simply dodged, but paid close attention to the 7-star sword in the Dragon Shark King's hand. That was a weapon of the same level as the Ice Age. Naturally, it could not be trash. The attack of the 7-star battle radiance just now reminded him. The terrifying sword radiance slashed past Ling Xiao's ear and hit the ground of the arena, directly cutting a hole in the arena. That stage was made of special materials, yet there was actually a hole in it. One had to admit that the power of this move was terrifying. Do you understand now? If you don't use the Ice Age, you are not my opponent at all. The Dragon Shark King's attack almost succeeded. Clearly, he was confident. He continued to control the 7-star Big Dipper steps and invisible flowing water, constantly attacking Ling Xiao. Then, he suddenly used the 7-star battle radiance again. This time, Ling Xiao clearly saw the 7-star battle radiance's sword radiance. However, it was useless even if he saw it, because the speed of the 7-star battle radiance was too fast. Apart from the vertical golden light technique, there was almost no way for him to dodge. However, he did not plan to dodge this time. He already knew the power of the 7-star battle radiance in his heart. He wanted to rely on the huge threat of the 7-star battle radiance to help him cross the final barrier of cultivation, break through to the reincarnation divine realm. The 7-star battle radiance this time, because it had been brewing for a long time before erupting, was even more terrifying than the last time. The sword radiance was more than a foot wide. If it really pierced Ling Xiao's body, it would definitely be able to split Ling Xiao into two. Brother Ling, be careful! Seeing this, the warrior soul and the war soul screamed in fear. However, Dark Frost remained calm. This little girl worshipped Ling Xiao blindly. They thought that Ling Xiao was omnipotent, a mere 7-star battle light. How could Ling Xiao not be able to break it? A smile appeared on Mother Dragon's face. The inheritance of the 7 Stars Battle Emperor was indeed the inheritance of the ancient emperor. Fortunately, the Dragon Shark King had obtained it. Otherwise, the Dragon Shark King would have no chance of winning against Ling Xiao. Everyone else was also staring at the scene. This was because they really wanted to know what Ling Xiao would do in such a dangerous situation. Should I hide like before, or find a way to block it? Or would he be killed? Your attack is very strong, but it's a pity that it's still not qualified for me to use Ice Age. As Ling Xiao spoke, the Ice Supreme Sword in his left hand and the Fire Supreme Sword in his right had already appeared. Then the two swords combined. One side was extremely cold, while the other side was blazing hot. Two completely different powers were released from his body, and they were extremely harmonious. Then, the two swords shone brightly at the same time. A ray of white cold light, a ray of crimson red light. The map of the West Region God's tomb exploded with shocking power. Ice Supreme Sword Technique. Fire Supreme Sword Technique. Ice and Fire Supreme Sword, destroy it! Following the roar, the two swords flew out at the same time. The Dragon Shark King looked disdainful. What a joke! They are both beginner king class martial skills. Can two swords block my 7-star battle light? Break! Ling Xiao did not answer the Dragon Shark King. Instead, he let out a roar and released a crazy power. The power of ice and fire suddenly blended together. 10 times the power allowed the two beginner king class martial skills to erupt with the power of a medium king class martial skill. In addition, the Ice Supreme Sword and the Fire Supreme Sword added to it. The power was even more terrifying than a medium king class martial skill. Although the 7-star battle light was powerful, it could only erupt with the power of a medium king class martial skill due to the limitation of the Dragon Shark King's strength. The most terrifying thing was actually its speed. However, under the Tai Chi Eye, Ling Xiao caught the 7-star battle light the moment it bloomed. He did not need to compete with his opponent in terms of speed. He only needed to place his attack in the path of the 7-star battle light. Rumble! Terrifying roars sounded one after another. The 7-star battle light was actually blocked. The two's attacks were entangled in the void. Looks like it's not enough. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. This was the effect he wanted. The power of the dual sword combination was not enough to destroy the 7-star battle light. Instead, it would be a little disadvantageous. Only in this way could the potential in his body sense the danger. Only then could he continue to release it and break through the barrier of cultivation. Although it was very difficult to break through from the heaven-changing fate realm to the reincarnation divine realm. However, Ling Xiao had already accumulated enough power. He believed that this was an opportunity. The door of breakthrough was very thick. However, the potential that rushed out kept bombarding it. Finally, the door began to loosen. Dragon Shark King, is this all you've got? Ling Xiao mocked. He needed a stronger external force to stimulate his breakthrough. Obviously, the Dragon Shark King's current strength was not enough. Looks like you're ready to die. Originally, the Dragon Shark King did not use all his strength. After all, this was a long battle. No one dared to use up all their strength at once. Otherwise, if he could not defeat his opponent, he would be at the mercy of others. However, at this moment he encountered Ling Xiao's ridicule and saw that the 7-star battle light was about to take down Ling Xiao. The Dragon Shark King increased his power from 80% to 90%. The terrifying 7-star battle light became even more dazzling. As for Ling Xiao's fire sword and ice sword, they gradually dimmed. Good, that's it. Ling Xiao felt that the terrifying power made the potential in his body surge out crazily. The door of breakthrough that had already loosened finally opened a gap. No, I can't block it anymore. Ling Xiao frowned. For the time being, he still could not break through. Ling Xiao did not want to take the risk. If he was hit by this terrifying 7-star battle light, he would lose a layer of skin even if he did not die, and he did not want to use life backtrack at this time. Therefore, the Soul Elder sword had already appeared above his head. The attack that had long been brewing was released. Soul Elder Spirit, Heaven Sword Art, 3 swords in 1. Another sword light merged into the ice and fire sword light. The originally dim ice and fire sword light became even crazier as if a catalyst had been added. It actually blocked the 7-star battle light in one fell swoop and instantly shattered it. What? Everyone was stunned. They thought that Ling Xiao was done for, but who knew that the battle would suddenly reverse? The martial artists of myriad countries were all grief-stricken. The Dragon Shark King's face was also somewhat dazed. He had even used his trump card. Even the 7-star battle light could not kill Ling Xiao. What else could he rely on? Chapter 3474. That guy is simply a monster. But why is he so strong? What happened just now? Obviously, he was already at his limit. Ling Xiao seems to be good at using fusion martial techniques. After the fusion of 2 martial techniques, the power skyrocketed. How could this be? The people of Myriad Land were all dumbfounded. Can this battle still be fought? Does their brother Dragon Shark still have a chance of winning? On the Heavenly Emperor Empire's side, Heavenly King's face was extremely gloomy. Until now, he still couldn't forget the moment when Long Chun killed his son, Prince Tian. He wanted to take revenge, but he found that Ling Xiao was getting stronger and stronger. King Zhong, are you sure? This guy is not simple. He looked at King Zhong and said, after all, he is still quite a bit weaker than me in terms of cultivation. It's impossible for him to be my opponent. He has a demon spirit, and I also have a demon spirit, so this aspect can be offset. King Zhong said indifferently. It seemed that he was still very confident. What's more, Dragon Shark King hasn't lost yet. Big forces have their own benefits. In addition to medicinal pills, there are also magic weapons. That's definitely not something Ling Xiao can compare with. Myriad Land only has Dragon Shark King left. Dragon Mother can't not give him good things. That's true. Heavenly King was taken aback for a moment, then nodded and said, no matter what, as long as Dragon Shark King can seriously injure Ling Xiao, it's enough. Today's battle can't rest for too long. It's impossible to recover from serious injuries in a short time. In this way, your chances of winning will be greater. On the stage, after Ling Xiao repelled Dragon Shark King with one move, he didn't pursue. He even felt a little regretful in his heart. Although the door of breakthrough had opened a crack, and he could already touch the aura of reincarnation divine realm. But in the end, he didn't break through. So he hoped that Dragon Shark King had something more powerful. It could let him break through. In that case, he didn't have to worry about King Zhong, and he might even be able to contend with the martial artists of divine Devil City. He had many enemies, and he couldn't relax. If he could become stronger, he must seize the opportunity. What else do you have? Take it all out. I want to see what good things a martial artist of a big force has that I don't have. Ling Xiao hooked his finger at Dragon Shark King and smiled disdainfully. As you wish. Dragon Shark King let out another deep sigh. Ling Xiao didn't take the initiative to chase, which gave him a chance to catch his breath. Naturally, he couldn't miss. Now he completely regarded Ling Xiao as a truly powerful enemy. An enemy be defeated. But that was only his own trump card. Oh, He really did not understand. Ling Xiao was only a heaven-seizing, fate-changing realm martial artist. There was also that terrifying physical defense and that miraculous fusion of martial skills. And that perfect grade elixir. There were too many unfathomable things on this young man. You forced me to use this thing, so you have to use Ice Age. This is my last trump card, and Ice Age should be your last trump card too. Let's use these 2 trump cards to fight to the death. Dragon Shark King stared at Ling Xiao, and finally his left hand began to flicker with blue light. A terrifying force soared into the sky. Like a terrifying ocean, it emitted an earth-shattering aura. Finally, a trident appeared in his left hand. Neptune's Fury. It's actually Neptune's Fury. Dragon Mother actually gave the Neptune Emperor's weapon to Dragon Shark King. Someone recognized the Neptune's Fury in Dragon Shark King's hand and cried out in surprise. But it didn't end there. 7-star Treasure Saber. Transform into armor. The Dragon Shark King roared. The 7-star Treasure Saber in his hand turned into starlight and enveloped Dragon Shark King's body. In a short period of time, the Dragon Shark King was covered in a layer of ferocious and terrifying armor. It was the 7-star Treasure Saber. 7-star Treasure Saber and 7-star Battle Body can increase my defense by 10 times. It can increase my attack power by 5 times. In addition to the Neptune's Fury in my hand, what can you use to fight me? Dragon Shark King finally revealed all his trump cards. His lost confidence finally returned to his body. 2 weapons from the ancient emperor, one for defense and the other for attack. It was perfect. This Dragon Mother is really good at scheming. She actually made the Dragon Shark King use the Sea God Emperor's Fury of the Sea God at the last moment. As long as she stays nearby, Neptune's Fury won't rebel. I really didn't expect this. In this case, Dragon Shark King's battle power will increase by at least 7 or 8 times. Ling Xiao only has Ice Age. 1 weapon against 2 weapons. Can he win? How can he win? Whether it's the 7-star Treasure Saber or Neptune's Fury, they're both on the same level as Ice Age. It's impossible for 1 weapon to win against 2. With Neptune's Fury, Dragon Shark King can probably fight against King Zhong. How can Ling Xiao be his opponent? The appearance of Neptune's Fury and Dragon Shark King's transformation shocked everyone. Big Brother Ling Xiao, do you want me to give you the soul-devouring wand? Dark Frost asked. Yes, Temple Master. They are using 2 weapons, so we will also use 2. It's not a loss, Do Hun said excitedly. However, Ling Xiao shook his head and said, there's no need for that. The sharpness of a weapon is ultimately an external force. When one is strong enough, that is true strength. Not to mention the soul-devouring wand, I won't even use Ice Age. Because there's no need. This guy is too arrogant. He must be bragging. Just as well. Let this arrogant and conceited guy go to hell. Koi King glared at Ling Xiao fiercely. This guy not only eliminated her, but also killed her fiancé, Prince Tian. Now he is going to eliminate the only person who advanced from myriad countries. Her hatred for Ling Xiao can no longer be described as bone deep, it's simply heart and lungs. Temple Master, what is Brother Ling doing? Is he really not going to use Ice Age? Do Hun was worried, because he really didn't know much about Ling Xiao's strength. On the contrary, Long Chen sat there calmly and healed his injuries, not saying a word. Long Chen knew Ling Xiao too well. There was no trace of confusion or fear in Ling Xiao's eyes. At this time, he was full of fighting spirit. How could he lose? Just as Long Chen thought, not only was Ling Xiao not afraid, but he was also excited about Dragon Shark King's sudden strength. The door of breakthrough had opened a gap. Next, it should be completely opened. The strength of Dragon Shark King was an unavoidable booster. He believed that after this battle, he would definitely be able to break through. Chapter 3475. Although using Neptune's Fury to win against you seems a little unfair, I'm sorry. For the myriad countries, I have to win. Dragon Shark King did not hate Ling Xiao as much as Koi King did. In a sense, the two even sympathized with each other. But an enemy was an enemy. Dragon Shark King had to fight for the myriad countries. No, it's nothing. Since the rules don't stipulate that you can't use weapons, you can do whatever you want. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. You don't have to feel guilty, but you can't win against me. Ling Xiao still had a smile on his face, an expression that could infuriate his opponent to death. This guy, don't tell me he still has a trump card? Impossible. Apart from the Ice Age, how could he have something stronger? Dragon Shark King shook his head to calm himself down. Sometimes the enemy would use pretentious methods to scare the opponent. Perhaps the current Ling Xiao was planning to do so. He absolutely could not be scared. Phew! Exhaling, Dragon Shark King brandished Neptune's fury. The entire air turned into seawater, surging violently. Don't worry. Even if you lose, you can still be proud. After all, you forced me to use my last card. Dragon Shark, you talk too much nonsense. Kill him. Don't forget, he killed your big brother. Dragon Mother said coldly. Dragon Shark King could sympathize with Ling Xiao, but she could not. If she did not see Ling Xiao die, she would definitely vomit blood. I know, Mom. Dragon Shark King sighed. Mom's orders could not be disobeyed. Kill. Brandishing Neptune's fury, Dragon Shark King charged at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao fought and retreated as if he was judging Dragon Shark King's current attack and then deciding what move to use to resist. He couldn't be too strong or too weak. If it was too strong, it would not help him break through. But if it was too weak, he would die. Make your move, Ling Xiao. Do you want to die like this? The Dragon Shark King roared furiously as he brandished the Neptune's fury even faster. Terrifying waves crashed down on Ling Xiao one after another. Dead. I won't die. Supreme Ice Sword. Fire Supreme Sword. A Soul Exalt Sword. Linglong Sword. 4 swords in one. Through the judgment of the Tai Chi Eye, Ling Xiao accurately grasped Dragon Shark King's current attack. It was indeed terrifying. Therefore, he decided to use the move of combining 4 swords into one. 4 swords appeared in the sky at the same time and pierced through the divine tomb of the western regions. They turned into 4 different sword chis and blasted toward the Dragon Shark King. The power of the 4 swords combined into one was increased by 20 times. It was already comparable to a high-level king level martial skill. There was not a single martial skill of this level in the entire western region. The Dragon Shark King had never seen one before. However, the owner of the fiend god, Token, stood up excitedly. How could this be? That's right. How can that brat know a high-level king grade martial skill? The chief of the Blood Axe Snake clan, Shifeng, also stood up at the same time. All the martial artists in the fiend god city looked at Ling Xiao in shock. No, it's not a high-level king grade martial skill. It's a fusion technique that has reached the level of a high-level king grade martial skill. The owner of the fiend god, Token, shook his head, but he was even more shocked, because the sword technique Ling Xiao used seemed to be related to the ancient Sword Emperor's 9 Supremes. Supreme Fire, Supreme Ice, Supreme Soul, and Supreme Linglong. Weren't they 4 of the 9 Supremes? Could that young man be the successor chosen by the ancient Sword Emperor? Seeing this, the owner of the Fiend God Token was even more unwilling to see Ling Xiao die, because he had chosen so carefully to choose such a person to obtain the ancient Sword Emperor's inheritance for him. On the field, the battle continued. Seeing Ling Xiao's attack coming, the Dragon Shark King didn't hesitate. The Dragon Shark King did not dodge. Instead, he stabbed Neptune's fury towards Ling Xiao. He didn't use any martial skill. Neptune's fury's ordinary attack was equivalent to the peak of a mid-level king grade martial skill. It was even stronger, infinitely close to a high-level king grade martial skill. In addition to the enhancement of his 7 stars armor, its power would only be more terrifying. He believed that unless it was an advanced king-level martial skill, there was absolutely no other martial skill that could compete with his move. Ling Xiao, don't blame me if you die. You can only blame yourself for offending Mother. The Dragon Shark King roared angrily. At this moment, he still didn't know how terrifying the combined attack of the 4 swords was. It wasn't until the 4 attacks merged into one that the Neptune's fury in his hand was sent flying and then hit his body heavily. He then realized what a stupid mistake he had made. Crack! The 7 stars battle armor actually shattered. It turned back into starlight. The Dragon Shark King couldn't control his body anymore and fell out of the arena. He didn't want to lose, but now he had to. The arena was only so big, but the force of his fall was even more terrifying. After leaving the arena, he flew for a few hundred meters before gradually slowing down. Then he fell to the ground, unable to move anymore. Almost all the bones in his body were broken. Although he was still alive, it was impossible for him to fight again. It turns out that I'm really a frog at the bottom of the well. I didn't know that you have more than 1 trump card, and more than one. The Dragon Shark King suddenly raised his head and looked at Ling Xiao, who was on the stage, and said, "Tell me, is this not your strongest attack?" "No," Ling Xiao said indifferently. As expected, the Dragon Shark King smiled bitterly. It turned out that he had no chance of winning from the beginning. This opponent was too terrifying, too powerful. From the beginning to the end, he was just toying with him. You could have defeated me from the beginning. Why wait until now? The Dragon Shark King asked. Although it's a little embarrassing, I just want to use you to make a breakthrough. The stronger you are, the more help you will be to me. Ling Xiao thought highly of the Dragon Shark King. At least the Dragon Shark King had always done things openly and above board, daring to love and hate. Unlike the despicable Prince Tian. Have you made a breakthrough? I can't tell you this. It's a secret. Ling Xiao smiled. I know. No matter what, I am satisfied to be able to fight with a monster like you in this life. The Dragon Shark King looked at the sky, and the corner of his mouth hooked up into a smile. Hey, old woman, he is seriously injured. Aren't you going to treat him? Ling Xiao looked at Dragon Mother and said, A waste, he deserves to die. He can't even complete this task. Why should I save him? Koi fish, go and take all the treasures and elixirs from him. Dragon Mother looked at Koi King and said, Yes, Mom. The Koi King and Dragon Mother were as cold and ruthless as each other. That was her brother. He was also Dragon Mother's biological son. From now on, you're no longer a person of my myriad land. Your life and death have nothing to do with my myriad land. After the Koi King received the storage ring of the Dragon Shark King, Dragon Mother announced loudly. It was as if she wanted to completely separate herself from this shame. Dragon Shark, are you willing to work with me? Be my brother in the future. Ling Xiao suddenly asked. Chapter 3476. He is already a cripple. Without enough medicinal pills, he will definitely die. I didn't expect you to like trash. Dragon Mother snorted coldly. That was her own son. How could she be so ruthless? You don't have to worry about this. Regardless of whether he is willing to be my brother or not, I will save this person. After the female martial artist announced his victory, he jumped off the stage and stuffed a medicinal pill into Dragon Shark King's mouth. After a while, Dragon Shark King's injuries healed at an astonishing speed. Why? Dragon Shark King was puzzled. No reason. I just find you more pleasing to the eye. Ling Xiao smiled, then turned and walked toward the Soul Hall's formation. Dragon Shark King stood up blankly, looked at Wangua, and then looked at Ling Xiao. He was actually very conflicted. Come here, Dragon Shark. Wangua is your home. Dragon Mother suddenly said. Shameless. Dragon Shark was injured like that just now. But you didn't want to waste medicinal pills to treat him. Now that someone else saved Dragon Shark, you pretend to be his family? who just said that they want to sever their relationship. Do-hun scolded disdainfully. Humph, mother and son are connected. There is an inextricable connection between us. What do you know? Dragon mother snorted coldly. She was very disdainful of Do-hun's anger. However, what she didn't know was that her completely contradictory actions had completely disappointed the Dragon Shark King. Plop! Dragon Shark King suddenly knelt in the direction of Wangua. No matter what, thank you, mother, for raising me for so many years. But Dragon Shark has died once. From now on, I have nothing to do with mother. After speaking, he gritted his teeth and walked toward the Soul Hall with his head held high. If you dare to go over, I will kill you. Dragon Mother roared, being abandoned by her own son in front of so many people. Dragon Mother was furious. It doesn't matter. Dragon Shark walked to Ling Zhao's side, stood still, and then said loudly, From now on, my life is Ling Zhao's. Damn it, I'm so angry. Dragon Mother's face was gloomy to the extreme. Although she had taken many treasures from the Dragon Shark, she could not take away anything from the 7 Stars Battle Emperor's inheritance. It was an existence that had already fused with the Dragon Shark King. Dragon Mother actually didn't want to stay here anymore. The failure of Dragon Shark King led to the complete failure of Tata Land. None of them had entered the top 6. In other words, no one would get the chance to enter the Ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum. In that case, he would lose the chance to obtain the inheritance of the Ancient Sword Emperor's mausoleum. This was a very heavy blow. However, Kong and Dragon Shark King had both lost to Ling Xiao. There was no doubt about that. In order to win, the Dragon Mother even gave the wrath of the Sea God to the Dragon Shark King. In the end, the Dragon Shark King was still defeated. Not only did he lose, but his son also became someone else's. This was simply losing the bait and the soldiers at the same time. The losses were huge. Mom, what should we do next? The Koi King looked at Dragon Mother anxiously. Their Tata land could be said to be the most powerful force in the Western region. If they couldn't obtain the inheritance of the Ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum this time, they would become the weakest. From now on, how could they have a foothold in the Western regions? This matter was too important. There's a way. Dragon Mother gritted her teeth. Since they couldn't do it openly, then they would do it secretly. For the future of Tata land, she was going all out. We have more people on our side, so no matter what, we have to strive to get into the top 3. If it really doesn't work, it's fine to get into the top 2 or first place. In that case, we can find a few more of our people to enter the Ancient Sword Imperial Mausoleum. The chances are very high. At this time, Ling Xiao no longer cared about Dragon Mother's thoughts. He was now thinking about the quota. He, Little Gold, Cold Plum, Long Chun, Dark Frost, Dragon Shark, Battle Soul, and even Wind Soul. A total of 9 people and 9 quotas were needed. If they could get into the top 3 in one fell swoop, then they would have 6 more quotas, which was more than enough. After all, among the top 6 martial artists, they had a total of 5 on their side. With the addition of 6 quotas, there would be a total of 11. Of course, the final situation wouldn't be so good. After all, the grouping was random. The more people there were, the higher the possibility of them encountering each other. They didn't ask for the top 3. As long as they could get first place, it would be enough. Just as they were talking, the female martial artist was already shouting, 2 number 6s, go up! One of the number 6s was King Zhong, and the other was Battle Soul. The disparity in strength between the two was still relatively large. So Battle Soul shamelessly chose to admit defeat. Otherwise, the Heavenly Emperor dynasty would definitely pursue him fiercely because of Prince Tian's death. And he might even die on the stage. Coward! Coward! The people of the Heavenly Emperor dynasty were furious. They originally wanted to see how King Zhong would teach Battle Soul a lesson. But who knew that this cunning guy actually chose to admit defeat? It was like punching cotton, and they couldn't feel the feedback of their strength at all. A bunch of idiots. Your Prince Tian has been destroyed, and you still want to be cocky? Ling Xiao curled his lips. Among the top 6 people, 5 were on his side, and only King Zhong was an exception. But King Zhong wasn't weak, so if they wanted to eliminate him, Dark Frost would only be able to win if she encountered him. The others were a little worried. Rest for 2 hours, and then the next round of matches will begin. The master of the fiend god Token glanced at Ling Xiao. In the small 8 Immortals Kingdom, for people actually advanced. This was really unexpected, but to him, it didn't matter who advanced. In any case, the inheritance of the ancient Sword Emperor's mausoleum would definitely be his. He was still very confident in his strength. No one in the western region could pose a threat to him. During the break, the 6 people who advanced were called over for the next draw. Our people will definitely meet next. There's no need to fight, and the weak will automatically admit defeat. In any case, we can at least get 2 of the top 3. We have the most spots, so don't worry. Ling Xiao didn't want his own people to exhaust themselves. After all, other than the Fiend God Invitational Tournament, he had other things to worry about. The Blood Axe Serpent clan hated him to the bone, and would definitely not let him off easily. Only when everyone on his side maintained their full strength could they solve those troublesome problems. Everyone agreed with Ling Xiao's idea, so they walked over and began to draw. This time, there were only 3 numbers. It was still a duel between 2 people with the same number. King Zhong was the first to draw. Number 2. I don't know which one of you I will meet, but other than Palace Master Darkfrost, I won't show mercy to anyone who meets me. Although I don't like to fight fiercely, you killed my nephew, so I won't let this matter rest. King Zhong looked at Ling Xiao and the others and said coldly, I actually hope that the 2 of us will meet. Fighting with our own people is really too boring. Ling Xiao smiled. Chapter 3477. Ling Xiao was naturally speaking the truth. If he drew King Zhong, he believed that he would definitely be able to kill him. In this way, the top 3 would belong to them. But things often didn't go as planned. Before he could draw the lot, Xiao Jin hurriedly drew the lot. In the end, he drew King Zhong. Helpless, Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. That was the only way. Boss, don't be so worried. I will definitely defeat this guy. Xiao Jin said, Of course, if there are no accidents, I believe you can defeat him. But, Sai, forget it. Do your best in 2 hours. Ling Xiao was a little worried that Dragon Mother could temporarily give Neptune's fury to Dragon Shark King. Naturally, it could also be given to King Zhong. That old man would spare no effort in order to take revenge. Also, the Revenge Alliance probably wouldn't let them take the top 3 so easily. The situation might be very bad. However, since the lot had already been drawn, there was no point in worrying now. He could only take 1 step at a time. He hoped that there wouldn't be too big of a mistake. Hee, I didn't expect your pet to block the blade for you, but it doesn't matter. Ling Xiao, you can watch how I kill your pet. King Zhong sneered and then turned to leave. At the same time, Ling Xiao discovered that Dragon Mother and the leader of the Revenge Alliance had also disappeared. He became more and more uneasy. Although Xiao Jin's strength was already very strong and had reached the 2nd level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm, together with the Flame Emperor Devil Spirit, he could reach the 4th level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm. However, Xiao Jin relied on the 9 nether yellow springs, golden, light the most. He wasn't as good as King Zhong, who was proficient in so many martial skills. In battle, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. Xiao Jin, be careful. Don't try to be brave. If you really can't, just fly out of the arena. Ling Xiao reminded. Got it, boss. Xiao Jin nodded. Seeing Ling Xiao's serious look, he didn't dare to be careless. Next, Ling Xiao went forward to draw lots and drew number 1. In the end, Dark Frost also drew number 1. Long Chen and Cold Plum both drew number 3. Although such an outcome was within his expectations, Long Chen and Cold Plum were still fine. The key was Ling Xiao and Dark Frost. Everyone could see that Dark Frost was stronger than Ling Xiao. Did he really want Ling Xiao to admit defeat? I admit defeat, Darkfrost suddenly said. I'll just admit defeat later. But if Prince Zhong were to defeat Xiao Jin, other than you, no one else would be able to suppress him. Ling Xiao said, Don't I still have you? I absolutely believe in your strength. That Prince Zhong is not your opponent, Darkfrost said. I even have a feeling that even I might not be your match. You're too modest. Ling Xiao smiled. To tell the truth, he and Darkfrost should be evenly matched now, because others did not know that he had already achieved a breakthrough in the battle with the Dragon Shark King. He had reached the first level of the reincarnation divine realm, coupled with the peerless heavenly rat beast soul transformation. He could easily erupt with the fighting strength of the third level of the reincarnation divine realm. Don't forget, he still had the 9 supreme sword arts and the Ice Emperor's inheritance, and the most terrifying tyrant martial soul. The power of the demon spirits could cancel each other out, but these powers could not be cancelled out by others. 2 hours of rest time passed quickly. The battle began again. Darkfrost, who had obtained number 1, directly admitted defeat. Her admission of defeat caused countless people to exclaim, Is Darkfrost crazy? Does she not want to be first? That's right. Although those people are powerful, the only one who has the ability to suppress Prince Zhong is Darkfrost alone. Darkfrost actually admitted defeat? That girl couldn't have fallen in love with Ling Xiao, right? She's actually so stupid. Prince Zhong's chance has come. The Celestial Empire's chance has come. Almost everyone thought so. Only Darkfrost sneered in her heart. Who is the fool? You will soon know. At this time, the leader of the Vengeful Alliance and Dragon Mother looked at Prince Zhong and secretly transmitted, Prince Zhong, don't forget what you promised us. Don't worry. As long as I get first or second place, both of your families will get a slot. Prince Zhong nodded. That's for the best. Otherwise, we will join hands to destroy the Celestial Empire. Dragon Mother and the leader of the Vengeful Alliance were clearly betting on Prince Zhong. There was no other way. They could only do this now. Their people were useless and lost the battle. So what? The second battle, Prince Zhong against Little Gold. The female martial artist called out, Boss, I'm going up. Little Gold flew up the stage. Prince Zhong also went up the stage. What a pity. You must die today. Prince Zhong snorted, and 2 blades of the ancient emperor appeared in his hand. One was the fury of the sea god, and the other was Fairy Linglong's twin rings. Then Prince Zhong used the twin rings to transform into the Linglong armor. With the fury of the sea god in his hand, he released an aura that surpassed the 3rd level of the reincarnation divine realm. Looks like Boss was right. You really got the help of Dragon Mother and the Vengeful Alliance. I forfeit. Little Gold didn't wait for Prince Zhong to react and quickly left the stage. He was at a disadvantage because he didn't have a human form. Otherwise, he could also have the soul-devouring wand, 7-star saber, and sky sword. In that case, Prince Zhong wouldn't be his opponent. What a pity. Little Gold, I know you're not convinced and still want to fight with him. But we have other things to do, so you must conserve your strength and immediately return to the Beast Ring to cultivate. You have the Flame Emperor's inheritance, so you should be able to continue to break through. Ling Xiao knew Little Gold very well. He would definitely feel uncomfortable if he admitted defeat just like that. But this was the best solution. Boss, I know. Consider the big picture. Little Gold flew back to the Beast Ring. He understood that this battle was just a small matter. Actually, what was more troublesome was how to face the owner of the God-Devil token. That guy was the most difficult existence to deal with. Xiao Jin admitted defeat, which meant that Prince Zhong had already secured a place. So he didn't say anything and left the stage. The next battle was between Long Chen and Cold Plum. Long Chen directly admitted defeat. The current Cold Plum was too terrifying. Perhaps even Darkfrost didn't dare to say that he could win against her. And the most terrifying thing was that this wasn't Cold Plum's full strength. She was still cultivating in a half-asleep state. Ling Xiao couldn't say what her limit was. 3 battles, 3 opponents directly admitted defeat. The audience was a little unhappy, but they were looking forward to the last battle. The battle royale between the 3 would definitely be very interesting. Cold Plum, you don't have to fight later. Just rest on the stage. I'll deal with that Prince Xiong. Ling Xiao dared to let Dark Frost admit defeat because he was confident enough to defeat Prince Xiong. He let Cold Plum rest for the sake of Cold Plum. After all, the current Cold Plum hadn't completely fused. If something went wrong during the battle, it would be very troublesome.